Alright, I believe we're live now. Welcome to the stream, absolutely no one. I should cut that out of the YouTube video. But yeah, welcome to the stream. This is first time I'm showing my face on camera, at least on Twitch. But I figured in order to do something fun to celebrate this, I've decided to every stream from here and now on, I'll be drinking some random drink that maybe looks so-so, you know? Doesn't look great, doesn't look bad. Kind of just a all-around average drink, or one that I'm gonna hate. We of course have the holy Taco Bell cup to stick it in once we have started drinking the drink, so on and so forth. But today we're mostly going to be doing a tier list of every anime I've ever seen. After doing the math, there is 525 individual shows that we will be ranking today. And yeah, so let's jump into it. Put the drink into the holy Taco Bell cup and we'll get started ranking. Also, any questions or input you want to add, feel free to. There's no reason not to, I think, but unless you don't want to, that's always a good reason. Yeah, let's jump straight into it. Alright, as far as tier list goes, we have 10 categories that we'll be putting them in. We have the SSS. The SSS category is basically peak escapism. You watch the show and you completely forget that there is a reality. We have the SS, which means it basically is the SSS, but instead of immediately sucking you in, you kind of ease into it a bit more. The S category is where it occasionally sucks you in, but overall it's just a good show. A is good show overall, you know, not too many complaints about it, but there was no point in time when you were really into it. B category is slightly above average. We have the C category, which is slightly below average. That's going to be most generic isekai. We have the D category. The D category is going to be basically what is a trashy isekai. After that, we have the F category. This is where it starts to get painful to watch, where you're watching it and you just really hate it. We have the FF category, which is basically so painful that you would much rather drop the show, but because you have some sort of problem where you have to finish every show that you ever watch, you don't. And we have the don't remember category, because there's 525 shows. I'm bound to have forgotten a few. First show we have is one that's currently coming out right now. It's the oh, also fancy little thing over here. I have the MAL so that we can look them up. But this is the Yazakura family, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Yazakura. The Yazakura family, which is basically a anime where there's a bunch of spies. It wasn't bad. At least it hasn't been bad so far. There's a few parts where it's kind of meh, but overall it's been a pretty solid anime. I wouldn't say it's S tier, but probably around A tier is where I would put it. Up next we have A Sign of Affection. This one, similar to A Silent Voice, is one where the main character is deaf and it's a romance, which I'm not sure if A Silent Voice would technically be considered a romance, but this one is most definitely a romance. And I am a sucker for romances, and there were multiple times when I did get sucked into the show, so I would put that probably at an S tier, because there were a few complaints I had about it, but overall it wasn't that bad. Oshinoko. So episode 1 came out. Episode 1 was a fantastic show, you know, everyone loved it. I don't think there was really any complaints at all about it. Well, except for the fact that it kind of fell off after the first episode. The first episode was good enough to actually break the boundary on MAL that... Wait, what's that show called? That really popular one that people seem to really like. Brotherhood, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. It managed to break the reign that it had just off the first episode. Afterwards, it kind of dropped off. Well, kind of. It just wasn't as good as the first episode. Overall, it was still a really good show. And I don't think there was ever a time in the show when I really fell out of the episode, except for the last episode of Season 1. But now that Season 2 has started, it started to go immediately back up. So I'm going to have to put that in SSS tier, because let's be real. It's a solid show. Alright, here we are. Oshinoko, we'll put that at the middle right there. Up next we have Uh, the I Am Standing on a Million Lives, I think it was called. This is one that I don't remember too well because it's one of like the first 20 shows I ever watched. But as far as shows go, I think it was fairly below average. I know a lot of people have a lot of complaints about it, and there just wasn't a lot of good parts about it. Up next we have March Comes In Like a Lion. This one is a very depressing one, for lack of a better words. It's very good though. It's about shogi, which is essentially Japanese chess with naturally a few different rules as it's from a different country. Also one of the first 20 shows I ever watched. This one I would probably rank on SS tier because it's pretty good, but there's a lot of parts during the show where it kind of drags and it just feels like it's going too slow. But yeah, overall a pretty solid show. We have a quintessential quintuplets. This show is a very popular one, especially among harem fans. It's a show where you basically have a set of quintuplets and their tutor, and the tutor is trying to tutor them so that, I don't remember the exact reason, I think he just needed money, but as he's tutoring them, they all fall in love with him, and it's about him falling in love with them. As far as harems go, I would say it's probably in like the top 5 harems, but I just don't think that's a pretty good category overall, so I'm going to put it probably in A tier. I know a lot of people probably would rank that a little bit higher on this system, but it's just, harems don't tend to speak to me, I guess. 86, we're gonna put this in SSS tier because screw Connor. Now we have 91 Days. 91 Days is a show that was really popular for a moment in time. I know a lot of people were talking about it. I think around whenever it started coming out, a lot of people were really enjoyed it, but I personally, I didn't see the appeal. It was very, how to describe it? People were very into it, and I couldn't ever figure out why, because it just seemed like have a really drowsy mood throughout the entire show, and it's a show entirely based on revenge, which, as far as revenge shows go, I think Oshi no Ko probably did it best, but 91 Days, it isn't bad. I definitely wouldn't say it's below average, because it did manage to get me a little into it, but I'd probably say it's slightly above average. Up next, we have, I hardly remember this show, except for that it was kind of boring. Absolute Duo. I wouldn't say it was painful to watch, but there were a lot of moments in the show where it was just kind of tropey, very tropey. And for that reason, we're putting it in D. Not that tropey's a bad thing, but it's just whenever tropes are done, you can do them well, or you can do them the most tropey way you can, and Absolute Duo kind of hit the tropey way. Alright. Aheron-san wa Hakarenai. If I remember correctly, it's, I can't understand what she's saying? I don't remember the exact English name for it, but it was really cute at first. It was another romance where the main girl just speaks really quietly, and the main dude has really good hearing, and so he's one of the few people who can actually hear what she's saying. It was, first few episodes, really good, but then you kind of get used to the trope that it has. Not the trope, but it's kind of shtick, which is the whole, hey, she speaks quietly and he can understand her. After a while, that kind of gets boring after about 3 episodes, so I'd probably only put that at a B tier, slightly above average, because the first few episodes are good, but the rest are just average, I'd say. Sing a Bit of Harmony. One of my favorite songs actually comes from this show. It's the jazz song that plays whenever they're doing karate. Overall, a pretty good show, I would say. Well, show, it's a movie. I watched it in theaters. I think it was one of the first anime movies I'd ever seen in theaters. But there are a few complaints here and there. They did have a few 3D animated moments in the show, in the movie, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, and the way the show did it was fairly well done. But I don't know if I would say that, like, it added very much to the experience. Overall, I'd say it's above average, probably B tier. It's another AI story where robots are trying to fit in with humanity, and I think that's been done quite often. But overall a fairly solid show. Up next, we have A Ho Girl. This one, I don't understand why people enjoyed it. The main girl was, once again, similar to, I can understand what Aharon was saying. It gets really boring after like the first few episodes. You know, there's a moment in time whenever, well, not even after the first few episodes, it was just kind of bad from the start. The main character's whole shtick is that she's annoying, and stupid. That hence the name A Ho Girl. A Ho just means stupid, or similar to Baka. But that's the entire point of the show, is that she's incredibly stupid. The main guy is just an average dude looking to have an average life, and the main girl is just incredibly annoying. And I don't know, I don't find annoying people very fun to watch. I would put that in F tier. I don't think there was any point in time when I was in so much pain that I thought about dropping the show, but yeah. Alright, up next, we have Ayura. I don't remember this one very well. Let's see. Oh no, I do remember this one. Yeah, this one was a pretty funny show. It's shorts. So all the episodes are only like 5 minutes long or so. I wouldn't say that's... Shorts they're fun to watch. Very quick binge a lot of times, because it only tends to be about like 1 to 2 hours to watch the entire show. As far as shorts go, this is probably one of the better ones. I wouldn't say I was in S tier, but I would probably put it in A tier, just because a lot of the comedy that the show's done, it's a little bit tropey, but it's well done tropes, so it works out pretty well. Alright, Akiba Maid Wars. I think this came out 1 or 2 seasons ago. It definitely starts out as a very violent and brutal comedy, which is definitely up my alley as far as shows to watch. Comedy and violence, those are like 2 fantastic things. But Akiba Maid Wars starts out as that, and then it gets kind of serious later on, which is somewhat of something I have an issue with. A lot of shows will a lot of comedy shows or slice of life shows will have this moment in time when they are pure slice of life comedy shows, and then as you move on towards the final episodes, they need to have a finale. So they kind of build up the drama a lot, and whenever they build up the drama, it kind of loses itself in it. It kind of removes itself from what it once was. And Akiba Maid Wars kind of fell into this category, but as far as shows that do that, it was definitely one of the better ones done at making you fall through. I think because of the specific category it was in, where it's a comedy but very violent comedy, you kind of have that shift where it's like, oh, we've been laughing at this in the entire time, but this is kind of messed up, which I think was interesting. I'd probably put it in S tier, just because, like I said, it did do it kind of well. And if it weren't for that, I would probably put it in SS tier, but it was done better than other shows, so I'm not going to drop it too far for it. Up next, we have Akame ga Kill. Akame ga Kill was a pretty good one. Outside of the fact that a lot of people die, especially my favorite characters. They had an obsession with killing off my favorite characters. I actually had a friend who watched the show and dropped it after the gay guy died, because he was like, man, screw this isn't worth watching anymore. But yeah, other than that, well, character deaths are some of my favorite things for a show to have, so whenever it comes to that, I can't say I'm particularly upset that it happened. You know, favorite part of Harry Potter was of course when Dumbledore died, but I don't know if I'd put it any higher than A, just because it's it kind of gets a lot of stuff done. There's a lot of tropes. The main villain girl, I don't remember her name, but a lot of people are obsessed with her. I don't understand that whatsoever. She was really annoying. What is it? It's a yandere, I think. Whenever they're really obsessive to the point of being violent, or they're just really obsessed. I think she fits that category. I'm not completely sure. It's completely certain on that, but I really didn't like her as a character. There's also the girl with the bear. I hated her. But yeah, A tier. Up next, we have Aki-kan. You guys have probably heard of this before. It is a show with anthropomorphic soda cans. It's the great battle between steel versus aluminum soda cans, which I didn't know steel soda cans existed, but I guess in Japan they do. It basically is a can made of steel, which is in the title. But yeah, it's a battle. Basically, these soda cans are anthropomorphized. Whoever buys the can, like, basically has the girl as a servant almost, which does drop it a bit because it's just not interesting when that happens. Yeah, overall, I would say it was slightly below average. It wasn't anything to like really be upset about. There's a few tropes here and there that were kind of good, but like the idea of it was so unique that it was kind of a bizarre watch, which means it couldn't be these two. It's one of those watches where it's so weird that it's almost good, but not good enough to actually be good. Up next, we have My Sweet Tyrant. My Sweet Tyrant is a very fun watch. I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's once again shorts. This is one of those few shows that has actually made me laugh out loud and hard. Very unique in its premise. Basically, the guy is an extremely obsessive boyfriend. While they're the extremely obsessive boyfriend, it leads to a lot of comedic moments in the show, and the show being a pure comedy and in short form, a lot of times those shows tend to be very hard to watch, very hard to get through. But this was one of the few where, once again, similar to Ayure, don't remember, I have no idea how to pronounce that. Like, similar to that one, it's one of the few shorts that I think was actually an enjoyable watch, but I would definitely rank it above, probably as an S tier, because some of the comedic moments really hit hard. There's one moment in the show whenever he is like, man, I need to collect my girlfriend's skin peelings after she got sunburnt, and that was one of those, it was definitely a shock value moment. Up next we have Akudama Drive. In terms of like feeling of the show, it's very similar to Akame ga Kill, except kind of more done in a cyberpunk world. So I guess probably the best way to describe it is Akame ga Kill mixed with edge runners, cyberpunk edge runners. That's probably the best way to describe it. But yeah, solid show. It has a lot of action mixed with comedy. I'd probably put it in S tier, just because it had a lot of solid moments. There were definitely times, actually, no, I'd say throughout most of the show, I got pretty involved in it. It's one of those shows that I think is very easily bingeable. But yeah, very solid show. Up next, we have Alice Todoroko. This one is definitely top tier show for me, mostly because my favorite quote comes from this show. Very, very dumb quote. I don't know why it's my favorite, but it is bizarre. It's you evil frazzling meanie. It is my life goal on my bucket list to, at some point in time, say that out in public, in the wild, have somebody have no idea what I'm talking about, and then whenever they ask me, what the frick was that, just be like, oh, it's an anime reference, you wouldn't get it, you know? But yeah, solid show, honestly. I would put it in an SS. As far as terms of the show go, I don't think I would ever recommend it to anyone. It's one of those shows that's like a show that you really enjoyed, but you know you're probably the only person that's really going to enjoy that show. But yeah. Oh, this tastes like haichu. That's very interesting. My mother used to punish us as kids and have us, whenever we would swear or say something way too rude to somebody else, she would cut off a leaf of our aloe vera plant and shove it in our mouth, and that is arguably worse than having soap shoved into your mouth. But yeah, I was not expecting it. Like, I saw it and I was like, oh man, this is going to be absolutely terrible. No way it's going to be good, because it's aloe vera. That's how we were punished as kids, but it honestly tastes like a green haichu. Next, we have something something level 9. It's another isekai with a main character that's overpowered, but unlike most other isekais, it's actually fairly decent. Very entertaining to watch. It is another kind of, I don't know if I would call it a power fantasy, because they don't have a generic self-insert main character. It's more of a girl who seems to be on the spectrum, but her main obsession is basically getting really strong. Okay, I have a friend who's obsessed with that show. Oh, that's you. You're that friend. I'm not putting it up there. I'm sorry. It's not S tier. It is not S tier material. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is at best A. Like, the animation style does definitely bring it up some notches. It has a unique storytelling method, but it's not A tier. A tier is reserved for shows that I really enjoyed, not shows I would consider above average. But yeah, this one, it's another isekai, so we're gonna stick it in C tier as the most isekai category. Biggest copium ever displayed. You know what? There's my dad, I actually introduced him to that meme recently. Oh, Archon0699, thank you for the follow. But yeah, I wouldn't say that it's copium, because I'm right, you know? I think you're trying to cope by telling me that I have copium. But yeah, up next we have another isekai. This one is a fairly good one. It's the main character of this one is basically goes into the isekai world and is like, well, crap, I'm in this world, I'm the villainess, another villainess isekai. I'm the villainess, I gotta do something to live, and so she goes to the final boss and basically courts him. But yeah, as far as isekais go, it's better than most of them. They did kind of botch the ending there, but oh well, all's well that ends well. Hello. Once again, thank you for the follow, I definitely appreciate it. You are follower number 3 now. But yeah, we have up next, we have Amagi... No, this one is... Crap. I think it's My Sweet something or other. What is it called? What's the English title? Sweetness and Lightning. This one is a good one to watch if you're kind of, I don't know, like into cooking anime and kind of slice of life, people taking care of people shows. Dude basically loses his wife, I think it's divorce or something, or she dies, and basically he meets a high school girl, and the high school girl likes cooking, and so she cooks for them. It was pretty boring, I'm not gonna lie. It's very much only good if you're trying to fall asleep, I think. It's a very, very solid show to watch before you actually fall asleep. But yeah, I'd probably put that one in C tier. It was a slightly below average, not bad enough that I would be like, there aren't very many good qualities about it, but it's not painful enough to actually drop or really painful at all. Magi Brilliant Park. Food Wars was Food Wars was a solid cooking anime. I've seen clips of it. I never finished the actual full show, but I've heard it's really good. I do definitely need to go back and actually finish it. It's not on the list right now just because I haven't actually finished it yet, but Amagi Brilliant Park, this one was really popular for a while. It's the one where, if you've seen that one clip of the girl like pointing a gun at a guy, that happens a lot in anime. I don't remember the scene enough to actually describe what happened in it, but there's a lot of popular clips from it. The entire show though was very comedy, and I think they just didn't hit a lot of the comedic moments that I really wanted them to hit, as well as the ending kind of had a magical moment where all of a sudden everything is saved by one soft... Actually, what's the explanation for Akamega kill? So they killed off all my favorite characters. That's the biggest reason. Every character I like died really early on, so... And my favorite character. Really? So high? Okay, but it's the characters dying are my favorite thing. It's kind of oxymoronic, I know, where I'm like, I'm contradicting myself by putting it lower because they're killing my favorite characters, but I love character deaths, so it's like, it's a very conflicting thing. But A is just kind of like solid watch, but never actually got me really into the show. But yeah, they killed off my favorite characters brutally, which I loved but also hated, and so conflicted feelings caused it to be put at A. But yeah, I didn't realize people did it low. Yeah, not all character deaths are good. Like I said, they brutally murdered some of my favorite characters, and there's definitely shows that have done it really wrong, and I really hate when a show does a bad character death, especially when the character death is kind of for shock value. Like, the only time I think a shock value character death has been really good was in... What's that one show called? Zombieland Saga. Because that's like the whole point of the show, is that the character dies, and it's done really funny because it really misleads you. Up next we have Angel Beats. Angel Beats is actually, I think, one of the first 5 anime I ever watched. Whenever my friend was trying to get me really into it, I was like, yo, Angel Beats kind of looks good, because on Netflix where I watched it, the picture that shows up whenever you're hovering over the show was a picture of a bunch of people with guns. My friend was like, nah, just look at it, too many guns. Oh yeah, this is the best. Wait, you even Oshinoko? Well, I don't know if that'd be considered an idol anime, but it is definitely one of the best idol animes to exist. But yeah, first anime I ever watched, not the first one to make me cry, but I'd say it's a solid S tier. Lots of comedic moments, but I don't think they were... Sometimes they got redundant, like the character who always gets beat up. Oh yeah, I have a playlist of 10 out of 10 songs I think are amazing. It's 4 hours long, and I think I have 2 of the songs. 2 songs on the playlist are actually on top, in the top 10. I really like the one where it's kind of jazzy. I think it's like Sagahen? I don't remember the name of it, but it's the one sung by the girl from the really old period. But yeah, up next we have Anne Happy. The metal one. What's the metal one? The metal one. Crap. Are you talking like the first one, whenever they're all still zombies and headbanging? I don't know if it's on there. I think I had one of the openings. Oh, that was a good song. I do have it on my playlist, but it's not on the 10 out of 10 one. Bah. I've never been too into metal, so the fact that it made it on my playlist at all was pretty good, I think. Just speaks volumes for how good the song was, but it being the genre that I'm kind of not really into, it's not too high on there. Anne Happy is a fantastic one. It is a anime where basically the main character is extraordinarily unlucky, and throughout this unluck, she tries to navigate day-to-day life and goes to a school where everyone is unique in one way or another. Or I think... That's true, the Junko's voice was pretty good, yeah. But the Anne Happy, it was a comedy anime. It wasn't too good, from what I remember. Comedy anime tend to be very hit or miss on whether or not it's redundant or not. The song, though, what's it called? It's like Michi no Michi no something something or other. It's one of those songs that you add to the playlist because it's so weird you can't not add it to the playlist. Oh, Mushoku Tensei is of course on the list. Yeah, I watched that one as a seasonal every time. One of the best isekai out there. But yeah, Anne Happy, probably B tier, slightly above. I think Mushoku Tensei is pretty far down on the list. I'm not sure exactly where it would be, but it's probably going to take a while to get there. I'm probably not even going to get it all done throughout this stream, so this is probably going to be a multiple day stream, but yeah, we'll get there eventually. Up next is Another. Another is a fantastic comedy anime, despite the fact that it tries to be horror. So this is a very iconic horror just because of the umbrella scene, if you've ever seen, where like the girl falls down the stairs and her throat is impaled by an umbrella. Yeah, it's a comedy. Yeah, like I said, character deaths. This is one of those shows where like they really botched the character deaths, so it's more than anything it's a comedy. But yeah, so if we're ranking it as a horror, it's probably F tier, like if we're being real. But if we're ranking it as a comedy, it's probably around B tier. I think because it tried to be a horror anime and really botched that up, it's F tier. But like, they should have definitely gone the comedy aspect. We have Assassination Classroom, one of the few animes that I'd introduce my family to on C, just to kind of average it out. I don't know though, because it's like, if someone is pole vaulting, I don't think you would give them, and you were ranking them on pole vaulting, I don't think you would rank them on the sprint up to the pole vault on how fast it is as if they were doing a 100-meter dash. And for that reason, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I guess Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm probably gonna stick it to D just to F because it botched what it was trying to be. Well, actually, I guess we are kind of ranking it as animes that are enjoyable to watch in terms of like enjoyment and how the show was. So yeah, C tier works. Ah, fair enough. Yeah, I think my favorite part of Another was whenever like the final episodes come, and in order to kind of go out with a bang on the finale, they decide to slaughter as many people as they can. And there's that one dude who has the chandelier fall on them. Three people are running through the hallway, chandelier falls on them. Then dude gets up and is like lives from the chandelier and is like, sweet, I can escape. Runs, and then a pillar falls onto him. It's just a massive moment of really bad luck there. And that was really funny because I guess chronologically, not chronologically, canonically, I think is how it's pronounced. The character, the two other characters that got hit by the chandelier lived, so he would have been fine if he had just stayed. But I mean, I guess adrenaline is running through your veins. But yeah, Assassination Classroom, first anime that I would probably let my family watch. I'd say it's just a solid S tier, you know? They have some really good moments in the show. Lots of comedic moments that are good. There's a few moments where it feels a little bit tropey, but the teacher is pretty funny in how it's almost like a overpowered fantasy, but like with a teacher. I think more than anything, it's like a I wish I had a good teacher fantasy. But I think that's pretty relatable. Oh, ending was fantastic. Yeah. Especially when I think Nagisa, that's the main character, right? I think it's like Nagisa's the blue-haired person, especially whenever he ends up... Well, that's a spoiler. But yeah, I really liked where his final... I think it's... I forget what it's called when there's like the after clip after the story and everything. It's not the prologue, but the one other than that. After the prologue. I really liked his prologue. Alright, Aoharu Ride. Once again, I'm a sucker for romance. This one is a really good one. There's a few points in time when the show kind of feels really depressing. Post-credits, yes! The post-credit scene for Nagisa, I really liked that part. But yeah, Aoharu Ride, this one, I would say solid A-tier anime. You know, well, no, it's a romance. I got really sucked into it. I'd probably put it at an S tier. There's a few moments in the show when you're watching it and you just kind of get really depressed because the storytelling that they do is not a very happy way of doing storytelling, but it's a fairly good one. Like most romances, I think the guy suffered from I'm too cool and the female suffered too much from you're saving me. So that's why it's not any higher, but if they like hadn't gone as hard into those tropes, I think it probably would have been ranked higher. We have Blue Exorstress, which, watching this, it was... Oh, yeah, actually, you stopped watching Moshoku Tensei, Romance After Moshoku. I'd love to hear it. But yeah, this is a... It honestly felt like a remake of... What's that one show called? Same creator as... It was a... I can't remember what the show was called, but it's by the same creator that made Fire Force. But it kind of felt... Soul Eater. It kind of felt like a knockoff Soul Eater. It wasn't that great, and the season kind of... Second season, season 2, I think, had an ending, or season 1 had an ending, but yeah, I'd probably put that at C. Oh... That's fair, yeah. That's one of the biggest issues I think a lot of people have with romance animes, is that it just takes really long for the people to actually get together and everything. Like most 12-episode romance animes are progressing to the point where it's... You have the first episode, characters are introduced, and then final episode, the big final moment is, oh man, they kissed, and because of that kiss, they might go out. Yeah. Oh, there's one show that I think was really good as far as like the drama goes, because a lot of times the dramas is just misunderstandings like you're saying. But while a lot of shows do have that, there's a lot of times in the shows where sometimes the drama is so well done that it's like a solid misunderstanding. Like, misunderstandings in comedy is one of my biggest pet peeves with a lot of comedies, but I can't remember the show name. It was they just barely released like 5 episodes on Netflix. Kimi no Toroke. That one. I don't remember the English name of it, but during that, there's a misunderstanding that the character has, where the character has one of the character he overhears 2 people talking about how there's an issue with the best friend. Basically, there's like, oh man, the friend's being friends with this other person just to get popular or something. Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty good one. One of my friends really likes it. It's one of his favorite shows. But yeah, the misunderstanding is like, she overhears that and then she just laughs and is like, haha, my friend would never do that. And then the drama doesn't actually go on until like she hears the best friend say something. So it's kind of like they planted the idea in the friend's mind and then had it kind of reinforced, which I thought was really well done, because that's more accurate to like what might happen in reality. Because if I had a best friend and somebody was like, oh yeah, your best friend is just friends with you because, you know, they want to become popular, it's, well, first of all, it doesn't make sense because I'm the last person to be popular, but it's more of just most friends would just laugh that off. Alright, up next. Yeah, well, as you were saying though, the comedy, especially in comedy anime, I think it's really annoying when they do that, and that definitely drops a lot of romance animes for me, but there's a few that are really good. Actually, another good recommendation for you, if that's something you don't like, is a sign of affection. I think it's like, I don't remember when, but the romance does progress kind of fast in the beginning, and it's really more of a cute watch than anything else. It's not really there to be like a, oh man, lots of drama and everything. There is drama that happens in it, but it's very clear, like, it's not gonna do anything, and the show's more there to be cute. So if you're into like romance animes that are just kind of a fun watch, I'd recommend that one. Yeah, Arakawa Under the Bridge. This one is a very bizarre comedy anime. If you've ever seen it, it's the meme, a man of culture meme. This is where this reference comes from I think Samurai Dude. Yeah, basically a bunch of weird people live under a bridge. Might check it out. All right, yeah, it's one of the better romances, I'd say. Yeah, this one, bunch of weird people live under a bridge. Fantastic show, done by Studio Shaft, which Studio Shaft has completely managed to make shows that have just really unique visuals time and time again. They do a lot of comedy parts justice. For a show where like its main shtick is that everyone is weird, I think it's definitely one of the better comedies. I don't know if it ever got me like really invested in it though, because it's really hard to get invested into a pure comedy show. So for that reason, I'd probably stick it at A, but it was definitely a fun watch. And if you ever want to see the man of culture, the man of culture meme in the wild, that's where to find it. Arufuerta, another power fantasy isekai. If I remember correctly, it's the one where his class all betrays him and crap. Oh, Tonikawa Over the Moon. Yeah, that one's a fantastic one. I have, I think the manga volumes up to 25. Yeah, it's one of the best. It's also one of like the first one I ever watched, though I can't ever watch it in dub because the voice actor for that was the same as Tanjiro from Demon Slayer, and it's just too unique of a voice, so I have to watch that one in sub. But it's alright, because I don't know if you agree with me, but sub is better. Yeah, Arifuerta, Power Fantasy Isekai. As far as Isekai goes, it's one of the better ones, but most Isekai is C tier. So, another one for C tier. This one, Assassin's Pride. If it wasn't for the somewhat strange relationship between the very old man and the very small child, I think I would rank it higher. But there are a lot of interesting visuals. Probably the only reason I think it's good. Sub best? Alright. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I watch dub if I have to do something and the show's not something where it's like too invested, so I can work on something else while watching it. Like, that's what I do with a lot of isekais if the isekai is already released. Except there's one voice actor I really hate, and if that voice actor, there's one dub voice actor I hate, and I can't do him whatsoever. He voices the friend in one of the shows. I want to say it was Glenad, But yeah, I really, something about his voice just kind of bothers me, so I can't do it if he's a voice actor in it. Assassin's Pride, we're gonna put that in D tier, mostly because it's somewhat awkward throughout a lot of the show, but alright, next we have Backstreet Girls Goku Dolls. This one is a bizarre watch. There's a lot of swearing and sexual references, so if you don't mind that, then it's not too bad of a watch. But basically a bunch of guys in the Yakuza get reprimanded for having messed up, and the way they're reprimanded is they get set to have sex changes and become idols. It was a bizarre watch. A lot of the comedy in it is just supposed to be very raunchy, and I don't know, I always feel like that's really low-hanging fruit. So I would say there's a few moments when I was in pain for that one, so I'm gonna put that at F tier. But lots of points and times throughout the show, there were moments when I did laugh, but then they proceed to take those moments that were actually funny and do them over and over and over and over again, and that's just not really that great. We have... I don't remember this one. Really, you liked it? I can definitely see enjoying it if I'm watching it with my friends, because there's something about anime where it's like, the worse anime, I guess there's a limit of how bad an anime can get. For instance, me and my friend right now, we're watching Infinite Stratos. Infinite Stratos is a horrible anime, really awful, but because I'm watching it with him, it's like 10 times better. But yeah, watching it alone, I definitely don't think it was top tier, but that's definitely one that I think I could enjoy a lot more with friends. This one, don't remember what it's called. It's probably something about like boss being wholesome or anything. Like my new boss is very wholesome. But yeah, it was another one of those ones where it was good. Yeah, this one. Unfortunately, I have the curse where once I start a show, I feel the need to finish it. And this is one of those shows that I started and I was like, it's not bad enough to drop. If it's bad enough to drop, that's like FF tier, where it's like I was so close to dropping it, but I didn't. But yeah, as far as comedy goes, the first episode was meh. It wasn't that great. I'm probably going to put it in C tier, because it wasn't... Actually, no, I did contemplate it. It was slightly painful to watch once you get into the later episodes, because it's just the same thing over and over. And if you dropped it after episode 1, just imagine episode 1 over and over and over again. And they introduce a few more characters with a few new tropes, but the tropes are played into very hard. Bakemonogatari. This is one of my favorite shows of all time, another one done by Shaft. I don't know if you've seen it, or if it's great, but the light novels are also some of the best books I've ever read, because Nishio Isin has a fantastic writing style. It's full of puns, but actual good puns, and the translator did a fantastic job, because I can imagine puns being one of the hardest things to translate, just because... Different series. You dropped because it's too long? I mean, it is pretty long, yeah, but I mean, so is One Piece, and that's a fan favorite. I'm gonna have to put it in SSS tier, because, you know, it's such an interesting concept, and I love it. I was very into it. Every time you put on an episode, you just kind of forget the world exists around you, you know? Yeah, I love the show so much. Alright, up next, Baka and Test. Back when I used to work at Domino's. Where are we? Oh, there we go. Baka and Test. Back whenever I worked at Domino's, my boss was very into anime as well. This was one of the ones he recommended to me. Hideyoshi? What's that? Is that one of the characters? But yeah, it's my boss recommended it to me. Me and him have very different styles. As far as comedy goes, it wasn't bad. It wasn't my favorite though. I'd probably rank it around B. I don't know. Okay, we're looking it up then. Hideyoshi. Oh. Hideyoshi. Totome Hideyoshi. Ah. Okay. I see now. Oh, the character from the test. Okay. Yeah, no, character names are one of the hardest things for me to remember. So if I were to actually see the character, I might know it better. But it's one of those things where Oh, the brown-haired girl. Okay. Yeah. She was a... I don't know if I actually really loved her as a character. A lot of the characters felt kind of tropey to me. But yeah, boss recommended it to me. We have very different tastes in shows. His favorite show is actually, I think, High School DxD, whereas I tend to not particularly enjoy shows. Trap, not a girl. Oh! I don't remember him that well then. Oh, I thought it was the main girl. I mean, yeah, but I mean, I think there's so many better ecchi than DxD. Like, it wasn't that great of a show, if I'm being honest. He definitely does have what is considered a man of culture taste, though. Not as much as some of the other managers that worked there, but telling stories about that is a story for the podcast me and my friend are making. Same friend that loves what was it? Kimi no Todake? Wow, I forgot the name. But yeah, I'm trying to get my boss to actually go on the podcast, but because he's a massive One Piece fan, follows through with everything, but he doesn't have time because, you know, he's the big boss man. We have Handyman in Another World. Believe it or not, this is another isekai, and believe it or not, it wasn't that good. C tier, not much reason to spend more time on it. Barakamon, I think this one is called. It's the prequel or sequel, that's what it's called. A sequel to don't remember the name, but it's a comedy anime, and it's very weird how this is the sequel to it, because it goes from being a very comedic anime to a very Inuyashiki, I think is what it's called, which is probably one of my more preferred genres. Basically, the best way to describe that genre is so slice of life that nothing happens. But it's very, I think most often it's kind of described as being more soul healing than anything else, where most comedy anime, most slice of life animes tend to lean more towards comedy. This one goes more towards being, you know, kind of happy, just there to kind of, I think if you've seen the one anime, Restaurant in Another World, that one's I believe an Inyashike. But yeah, this one I'd probably put it at an S tier. It's very unique. The character basically goes to an island that there aren't a lot of people on, so it has a lot of that backcountry feel, and being from the country myself, I found it very relatable. Next up, we have this one, Big Order. It's on your list. The watch list or to watch list? To watch list. Yeah, it's a very good one. It's kind of slow, so if you aren't into slow anime, then it's not a fantastic watch, but it's a pretty good one. It's also one of my boss's favorites, the same cultured boss. But yeah, this one, it's very famed for the moment in time. Oh, you're just watching isekais with the highest ratings. That's good luck with that. Or I guess if you're going with highest ratings, then it's not going to be too bad. I have a similar to that one YouTube, Garnt. I have an issue where I watch every isekai I come across, and it's been leading to more and more pain over the years. But yeah, Big Order's famed for the scene with the girl with the ribbons who's like, no, you can't touch my ribbons or I'll get pregnant, and then they touch the ribbons and she gets pregnant. Probably the funniest part of the show. Other than that, not really worth watching. I'll probably put it in C tier just because it was fairly below average. The vending machine one. Okay, that one, I think this is the vending machine one. It goes from, I think a lot of people had very low expectations for it. So because the low expectations, whenever people watched it and it like exceeded those expectations, people were like, oh my gosh, this is actually good. I don't think it was good. I can't say it was fire, because the premise was so bizarre, and it felt very like it was mostly just trying to live off the premise, but it was almost like a power fantasy isekai where the main power is that the character is smart enough to have the knowledge of vending machines. Yeah, it was pretty meh. I think the expectations people had for it kind of gaslit them almost into thinking it was a good anime, because I know a lot of people who really will live and die by the fact that it's one of the better isekais, but very meh. Blend S. This is similar to WWW. Oh wait, no, just Wagnaria. Wagnaria is a very fun one, but Blend S has the opening that a lot of people know, where it's like sweet, sister, sadistic. Yeah, solid anime as far as comedy goes. There were a lot of pretty funny moments, I thought. Oh, that's what it was. Wyatt smiles, sweet sister. Yeah, it's a very popular opening. As far as comedy goes, it's one of the better ones, I think. Yeah, it follows a few tropes. So if you aren't into like a lot of tropes, then I wouldn't watch it. But a lot of the jokes they make about the tropes are fairly good. There's one point in time. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, it's a slice of life comedy. So if that's your jazz, then by all means watch it. Now we have Black Bullet. Black Bullet, I don't remember that well. I remember really liking it at the time, but it's one of the first few that I actually watched. And being one of the first few that I actually watched, I can't say whether or not like I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Is Black Bullet... Is Black Bullet the one where like all the children die? Or is that a different one? Where it's like has the blindfolded girl? Yeah. Alright, I remember this one. There was a... Yeah, where like the children have like something in their blood that turns them into weapons. I remember this one pretty well now. I don't know. Like I said, character deaths are some of my favorite things. And they nailed the character deaths on a lot of these. And for that reason, I don't know if I can put it in like F. I would probably put it in B, slightly above average. Because there were a few interesting premises that they had. But then at the same time, it kind of turned into a revenge story after that. So it's like, no, they had a lot of unique premises. Mid because you didn't finish it. Yeah, I mean, honestly, mid right now is kind of in between B and C, so I have to decide whether or not it was above mid or below mid. You know, we can't have a mid, otherwise pretty much all of B and C will be going into that category, but they did a really good job on certain moments in the show, and that's kind of where I'm like slightly above mid. Blood C, this one, it's one of those shows where they almost tried to make its main shtick that it's really bloody. As you may have been able to guess by the title, you know, Blood C, there's blood in the show. Unfortunately, we don't have an FFF tier, but yeah, it's definitely FF. Though, the one scene where, like, at the very end, the character, one of the best friends of this girl, basically, the guy points a machine gun at the girl and is like, "We're going to kill you," and the dude jumps in front of the machine gun to save her, and he just gets absolutely shreked by the bullets, you know, completely shredded. You hardly any way that he could have lived from that. He still somehow lived for like another minute or two after that to basically tell the main character, "I loved you," or whatever crap, when he just, you know, probably had like 6 or 7 bullets go through his heart. But, you know, anime logic. But it was very funny because not only did he jump in front of the machine gun wasn't even pointed at her, so he kind of just jumped in front of it for no reason whatsoever. And for that reason, it was a very funny moment. Other than that, garbage. Hot garbage. Hardly worth watching. Up next, we have Black Lagoon. Black Lagoon is a solid show, you know, 10 out of 10. Not 10 out of 10. I haven't finished it yet. I think I have, like, the 2 final episodes of the season where... The last season where, like, every episode's 45 minutes. Yeah, it's definitely good. I'd say double S. Yeah, I think it's very interesting. They have a very entertaining world behind all of it. The OVA, is it an OVA? It's the one with, I don't remember her name, but it's the maid with all the guns and everything, who was actually a war veteran or terrorist or whatever. But yeah, it's like the one where she disappears and they're trying to find her back. I'm not sure if it's a OVA or not, but yeah, solid. You considered it one? If it is one, then yeah. I don't know if it is or not. We might be able to find out, but yeah. The OVA, it's not as good. I definitely have to say though, my favorite character is the rival to the girl in the image right here. Don't remember her name, but the rival who uses the blades instead. And that whole dynamic between like her, the girl with no voice, and then that one dude who's like trying really hard to be cool. I love the like dynamic of those three living together and everything. All right, up next we have BNA. I think so, yeah. The one who's like, knives are the best, screw your guns. I love how in the show though, like at any moment in time, like if they're hired for different jobs, they'll gladly like try and kill each other. They're like, yeah, we're friends, but you're in my way, get out of my way. It's very, very fun to watch. BNA was one of the first few I watched back whenever I didn't have Crunchyroll, so it was only Netflix anime. And at that time, I thought it was pretty average, slightly above average. I wouldn't say it was anything like to write home about. And now that I've seen a lot of anime, I honestly would say it's probably ever so slightly below average. There was a lot of parts of it that were just kind of very meh, you know, not fantastic, not terrible. The church girl. Oh, the church girl was entertaining, yeah. The church being an armed gun dealer is not something that I think many people would think of, so. Oh yeah, Revi was her name, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, they have a very interesting dynamic. We have Blue Lock next. This is one of my friend's favorites. I actually bought the manga for it and was like, wait a second, I didn't like the show enough to buy the manga, but overall, I'd say it's probably A. I never was super invested in the show, but in terms of watch time and everything, like it was fairly easily bingeable. It wasn't like bad enough that I had to stop watching or anything. My friend absolutely loved it. It was fun. You're never gonna watch it. Oh, I have to ask why. If you have time to watch it? Really? It's a... Oh, that's fair, yeah. I've heard that those ones are pretty good. My friend really liked it because it's less sports anime than it is more like a crap, what's it called? Tournament arc anime. But yeah, it's one of my friend's favorites because he hates sports anime, but that one wasn't very sports anime-y. But yeah, alright, next we have My Hero Academia. This one is a very popular one with one of the more toxic communities from what I understand. But I'm gonna be honest, it kind of got repetitive after season 3 in my mind. I'm probably gonna put it in B, slightly above average. But yeah, it's throughout most of the show, it's like, hey, look at the bad guys, they're evil, the good guys are winning. Oh wait, now sympathize with the bad guys. Now, oh wait, my gosh, the good guys are losing. Oh wait, now we have to sympathize with the good guys. Oh wait, they're winning now. And it just feels like with every battle, they're trying to have like you be very conflicted on who to vote for. But yeah, I don't blame you. The newer season is coming out right now, and I'm probably not gonna watch it for as long as I can to kind of avoid, you know, starting it so I don't have to finish it. Yeah, Erased. Okay, Erased was one of the first ones I watched, and being one of like the first 10 I watched, it was at the time probably S or SS tier, but the more you watch like shows, the more you realize, oh, that's kind of a weird part right there, especially since I watched a video essay on like what they did wrong, and after watching that, I was kind of like, well, crap, they're kind of right, they really did kind of botch that. For that reason, I'm probably gonna put it in B tier, slightly above average, because it was like, it was good, but it's definitely kind of the nostalgic vibe, the nostalgia that makes it seem better. But I think the more you watch it, the better, the worse it gets. Up next, we have My Girlfriend is a Show Bitch. This one is a very entertaining one, I thought, but being a comedy, it was once again somewhat hard to get invested in. But as far as comedy goes, it was one of the better ones, I would say. But once again, the comedy was very raunchy at a lot of times. For that reason, I don't think it's gonna break SS tier or any of that, but very solid show, I'd say. Worth watching if you're a fan of kind of like, what's it called? A World Without Dirty Jokes, or can't remember the exact name of the show, but if it's somewhat similar in comedy to that one, I'd say. We have The Dangers in My Heart. Okay, this one, The first few episodes are so hard to get through. It is so cringe. You start it and it's just pain on pain. That's the best way to describe it. Pain on pain. The main character basically has an obsession with murder. He's essentially the edgy teen of the school, the one that like everyone is kind of like, ah, you're gonna become a school shooter when you grow up, or something like that. But once you actually start getting into the romance, it gets really good. It does have the flaw that a lot of romance anime have, where it's a very slow progression. For that reason, I don't think it's gonna break the S tiers, but it is definitely one of the better watches as far as romance anime goes. Up next is Bokutachi no Remake, which was this one wasn't bad. I'd say it was fairly good. A lot of people didn't like it as much as I did though, but I thought the premise was interesting. Once they hit the end, they kind of introduced, hey, like, you're remaking your life. It's an isekai where they go back in time to what they used to have. But while he goes back in time, has the choice to switch schools. Ah, got it. But yeah, so this one, what kind of happens in it is this dude is given the choice to change his life around, go back in time, have the choice to remake his life, you know, and choose the different school, because he chose a different school and it kind of made his life a failure. He's like, I can change it. He goes to a new school, basically meets all of his idols in that school, all of the people who are his heroes, basically tries to remake his life, but he has the knowledge of so many things. Real life, but worse. Ooh. Somewhat, I'd say, because it felt a little bit different than that. A little bit different than real life for a few reasons here and there. But yeah, I'd say it's kind of a different genre, because real life seems to, well, they both just have different feels to it. But yeah, I'd probably say it was worse off than real life. But I do have something bad to say about real life, though. I do. I'm sorry, I do. This one, I'm probably going to put it in B tier, because I do think it's above average. But yeah, real life, the ending for it, I didn't like, because it was kind of a, you know, these two people, they fall in love and everything, and then it's like, oh, coincidences all line up to make the ending a happy ending. But to me, that was kind of a show where it was like, should have been a bit more tragic in my mind. But I don't know. Throughout the entire show, I really enjoyed it, though. I can understand why it's a peak for you. Yeah, next up, we have Bocchi the Rock. This one was a very popular one for a time. I don't remember if it dethroned Fullmetal Alchemist on that one list, My Anime list. I don't remember if it dethroned it or not, because I know there's another... No, that was Love is War dethroned it. Bocchi the Rock, I think, ended up in, like, top 7, though. Okay, happy endings are very hit or miss for me. It all depends on how it's done. I do think it is overrated for what it's rated, but I don't think it's bad. You know, it's a banned isekai, not isekai. Wow, that was a done to goof right there. It was lots of animes dethroned Fullmetal. Oh, since I've started watching, I've only known about 2. Oh, did Frieren actually do that? Dang, Fullmetal Alchemist is more fragile than I thought. But yeah, Frieren and Fruits Baskets were both pretty good. Bocchi the Rock, I'd say I'd probably put it at S tier. Most people would probably put it around like SS or SSS, but I do think some of the music in it was pretty good, as well as the comedy was very entertaining, because I have a lot of friends who have social anxiety, and it's kind of fun watching it and pointing it and being like, haha, look, that was once you were once pathetic. But yeah, Frieren is still at the top. Is it actually? We gotta see this. It's BA? That makes sense, yeah. I think unless you have, like, some character to relate to in the show, it's not good. Anime, top anime. It is! Oh, let's go! It was so much better than Fullmetal Alchemist. I'm so glad it's at the top. Alright, up next, we have... Oh crap, I can't remember the name for this one. It's something about like, I don't remember what it's called. It's another harem though, and the ending for it was very kind of annoying, and it kind of left off on a like kind of cliffhanger ending. They kind of did the thing that a lot of shows do where it's a comedy throughout the show, then to have a season finale they make it very drama, which just changes the entire feel of the show. Overall, a lot of shows do that, and it really drops the ranking, in my opinion, for them. This one being a harem, which I'm not a huge fan of harems to start, as well as it kind of having that ending, kind of drops it down to D for me. Then there was also the issue of, I looked up what happens in the manga, because I was like, or what the crap, or the light novel I think it was made out of. I looked up what the ending was, and I really hated who won. I don't remember what it's called. I don't have very many friends. It's the one where they start like a class, and you have, or a club. I think it's like the Making Friends Club. The butterfly hair, yeah, the blonde girl. See it right there, kinda. Yeah, I couldn't get into it. It wasn't that good for me. It kind of like hit a lot of the tropes that I didn't enjoy, but it wasn't painful to watch. I really like the scientist girl in that. That was fun. But I guess whenever he's like, I see you all as friends at the end. Yeah, the ending sucked. He was like, I see you all as friends, and then I looked up who won, like what happened in later seasons. My favorite character was Science Girl. Turns out that he's like, at the very end, I see you all as friends, and she's like, okay, we'll just be friends, and then it stays that way throughout the rest of the show, but I wanted her to win, so screw that. Up next, we have, crap, what's this one? The, Berserk of Gluttony or something like that, right? Yeah, Berserk of Gluttony. Garbage. It was an isekai. Terrible show. Was it an isekai? No, it wasn't, but it was a power fantasy. I'd honestly say it's FF tier. It was very painful to watch. Could never get into it. Terrible, terrible show. Dude basically has the skill of, if he kills someone, he steals their power. But once he kills someone, he really all of a sudden has a desire to kill more people because he's hungry for more people, I guess. Hence the gluttony part, but terrible. Alright, this one, don't remember the name for it, but it's one of the more popular harems. Bokuben, We Never Learn. That's right. Isn't that slime anime, or just first part of what you said? Yeah, kinda. I would say so, probably, yeah. But slime anime feels a little bit different in the sense that instead of him being like, instead of Rimuru, if I remember correctly, being all, man, I have to like become stronger, it's more of, he's like, oh, let's build a kingdom, whereas this one it's kind of like, oh, I'm strong, I'm gonna be super strong behind the scenes. It's almost like Eminence in Shadow, but with less entertainment, less humor. It's not done as satirical. It takes itself too seriously, and so it kind of really fails for that. But We Never Learn, once again, it's a harem. I'm not a huge fan of harems. They just feel very unrealistic and like a self-insert a lot of times, with the main character having no personality. The only time I'll ever accept a kind of like person who stays at home or is a nerd at getting a lot of girls is in The World Only God Knows, because that one is hilarious. But yeah, this one probably a C tier. I am caught up on it. I do have the light novels as well for it, but I haven't started reading those just because I have too many books and I'm trying to get through a few other ones first. But yeah, we have this one. Oh, are you saying that because of the harem aspect in Mushoku Tensei? That was kind of upsetting for me. You like harems like that one? That's fair, where it's a bit more understandable. Yeah. Well, I don't know, one of my least favorite things is whenever a harem exists and then they're like, but wait, polygamic marriage exists in this world. And at that point in time, it's like, like a specifically smartphone in another world. That one, garbage. I don't get why people like that. My boss recommended it to me, the cultured boss too. I don't think he recommended it as like one that was gonna be good, but as a harems are just many girls, like one girl and no one confesses. Yeah, harems where no one confesses is very much painful, and it's just like, oh, a bunch of people having crush, and you have the token tsundere, token yandere, so on and so forth. It just feels so stereotypical. Okay, this one, something like Rain Protocol, I think. Protocol Rain. Yeah, this one was a... You finished all the light novel. Oh, for Mushoku Tensei? Yeah, that one's a... I'm really excited to read it, but I'm kind of torn between wanting to spoil the anime for myself or finishing the book, because it's probably going to be a while before the anime finishes. So I'm mostly just going to leave it up to whenever I get around to reading it. If the anime is like close to finishing at that point in time, then I'll finish. Then I'll just do anime only up until it finishes. But yeah, Protocol Rain was super interesting in the sense that they had a really cool premise. Well, cool premise. It's basically esports the anime, but the video game itself was very painfully animated in 3D. It was like almost like they were trying to make an old Nintendo 3D game. The video game that was supposed to be the AAA game in this show. The first episode I watched, I was like, dang, this is really cool and interesting and it has potential. And then I realized, oh wait, no, it didn't. So it was probably F, because later on it got really hard to watch. If you can wait for the next season of Mushoku Tensei, you should. Yeah, the next season's the best one yet? Oh, that's exciting. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, I have, I think, last I counted 1,021 books, and I've only read about 300 of them. So I can definitely procrastinate reading Mushoku Tensei. Up next we have My Daughter's an SS rank adventurer, I think. Yeah, My Daughter left the nest and returned as an S rank adventurer. This one is a very interesting one. It's not an isekai, but it kind of takes place in a fantasy world similar to what the isekais would have. It's mostly there to be very cute, I would say. And it definitely does do that. But there were a few times when it was like kind of painful to sit through. But at the same time, there were moments in time when you're like, oh wait, you get really invested into it. And for that reason, I think it averages out to being slightly above average. But I'm not sure if the average ranking is for it on MAL. Oh, it's a 6.76. That's slightly below average. And I guess my opinion contradicts the rest of the worlds in this one, but it was ever so slightly above average for me. This one is up next we have Buddy Daddies. This one was an entertaining one to watch in the sense that once again very cute, but they're both assassins trying to keep the fact that they're assassins from their daughter as well as balance that life out. The very beginning of the season, it was very good. It's more of a comedy, but similar to most comedy animes out there, it kind of has the issue of starting out as comedy, then for the season finale they really amp up the drama part of it, which once again makes it lose itself in that show. For that reason, I'm probably going to put it lower, slightly above average. Yeah, well, Spy Family is that, but done better, because Spy Family, you have the spy, the dad, and then the daughter is a... Oh, no, it's Buddy Daddies. Buddy Daddies is definitely more child-rearing than I would say Spy Family is. Spy Family tries really hard to be... Well, doesn't really try hard, it's very good comedy, whereas this one mostly tries hard to be comedy and then abandons comedy later on for drama, which Spy Family has yet to do yet, and that is fantastic. Spy Family really is a good show. We watched the movie in theaters recently, and that was a fun one. But yeah, we have Charlotte up next. Charlotte is one of my friend's favorite shows, different friend from any other one I've described before. This one was really good up until the point of the final episode, which should have been its season by itself. But in terms of show, is really good. You were really invested. I think had it not had that final episode be as rushed as it would probably be SS tier. But I'm only going to put it in S. Have you seen it yet? I think it's good and has some very iconic moments to it, but a lot of times throughout the show, I wouldn't say it was complete, yeah, think it has the final episode has a lot of really cool animation and storytelling ideas done in it, but really, yeah, I don't know why people would hate on it. I thought it was pretty good. It's one of my friends. It was one of my friend's favorites up until he watched Attack on Titan, but which it's rare for him to have a show be a favorite of his, because more often than not he's like, there's no big robots fighting, not worth watching. It makes sense that the last episode would. There's, like I said though, the animation in the last episode has a lot of interesting storytelling methods done to it. I love the scene when he like jumps out of the big building laughing. Yeah, the slow descent into insanity. But like, it would have been better if that had just been a season on its own. Like, it really, I think, killed the series. Because the final episode, there's so much that happens in it, and the descent into insanity, I think would have been better if at first you don't realize how insane he's becoming up until the point that like he's gone too far, and then at that moment in time you're like, wait a second, he's actually like gone insane now, where it's kind of like drives you deeper into the insanity with him up until the point that you bring yourself out and realize, wait, he's like too far gone. But oh well, you know, you can't always get what you want whenever it comes to a lot of shows. Next up we have Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man was a fairly good one. I at least thought. I know a lot of people really didn't like it. The animation was really done well though throughout the entire thing, and it had a baller opening. But whenever it comes to shows like this, it definitely relies a lot on shock value. I don't know if I would put it like in S tier. I'd probably put it in A, because it was kind of hard to get into it at times, just because I didn't really relate to any of the characters throughout the show. But once like that whole plot twist happens, yeah, there's a plot twist in the show, and I think the plot twist adds a really interesting dynamic, but it also kind of killed the momentum of a show. So whenever I talked about that video essay I had seen on Erased, one of the things that they bring up is like momentum of watching a show, and Erased kind of killed that momentum when it had that time skip. And I think in the same way, that plot twist in Chainsaw Man, you have a lot of momentum while watching it, and you start to get really into it, and you're like, oh, this is how the show works and everything. And then at one point in time, they just decide, let's completely change it up, and that kind of destroys momentum. And I think they just hadn't really added enough foreshadowing for that to do a smooth transition into it, which makes sense because they were going for shock value in that scene. But because of that, it kind of killed the momentum, and they had to rebuild it. But rebuilding it that late into the season is a bit difficult to do. I think it would have done better as a 24 episode anime, personally. That way it kind of continued on, so there was a bit more of the show to watch to build into that momentum. Up next, we have Bungo Stray Dogs. This one I'm still kind of in the middle of watching. I think I'm 1.5 seasons behind of it, but it's been a very solid one. Every time you watch it, you get really into it. The idea of having every character be based off of a novel and author is really interesting. Like, you have the main villain of one of the seasons being based off of The Great Gatsby, so on and so forth. It's very interesting concept, very well done. Honestly, I'd probably put it as SS tier. Very easily bingeable. Which is unfortunate, because that means I don't have as much of an excuse as to why I haven't finished it yet, but oh well. But yeah, the dynamics and everything. The only issue I think I really have with it was whenever he goes full tiger, instead of actually turning into a tiger, he just becomes more like a tiger-esque human, which I thought they could have done a bit better on that. But shows tend to do things that I don't really like a lot of times, so that's why we make tier lists out of them and rank them lower for it. Up next is this, I think this is like something along the lines of Elites Have It Easy in Another World. Oh, yeah, you can say something about Black Bullet. High school prodigies even have it easy in another world. That's what it's called. Killing off Hiruko. Was Hiruko the main girl? Wait, Black Font. What's that? What the crap? Oh, yeah. No, they did a lot to build her up as a villain. Yeah, I think killing him off, I can kind of understand why they did it, because they had him as the, if I remember correctly, he was the main villain, and they did a lot to build him up. I think that kind of plays into the whole momentum thing, where like killing him off at that time really just destroyed the momentum of the show. But having him die definitely, it killed the momentum of the show, and honestly, I think it would have been better if he had been a villain throughout most of it, kind of as the villain who occasionally appears, and as soon as he appears, everything's screwed up. You're not really going to enjoy what happens next. It's gonna throw things into chaos. But yeah, him dying, I can understand why they did it though, because that was very much a moment of time where like the main character was pushed too far, and so he, you know, finally did it. Or was it? I don't remember if it's the main character that killed him off now. I remember it kind of being the point in time when like one character was pushed too far though. So I can understand why it happened, but I definitely agree where I don't think it was the best move. Yeah. Hey, up next, we have Drugstore in Another World. I think that's what this one is. There's three of them out there, which I remember. I think it was the one after this one that came out. A lot of people in the comment section were like, you know, if I had a nickel for every single time there was an anime about a drugstore being opened up in another world, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's strange that it happened twice. Except now it's happened 3 times, which is, I mean, I guess, I don't know, doctors are a popular thing. Don't really know why, but this one was kind of an entertaining comedy slice of life throughout most of the show. It didn't have the issue that a lot of shows have where they kind of dramatize it for the finale. There was one character in it that I think they really did poorly on, because the entire time she's like seen as a sweet character. Then at one point in time they decide to abandon the fact that it's a drugstore and decide, hey, what if instead of a drugstore we made this into a magic store, you know, just have magic done with drugs. The one where the kid is the one who has a drugstore. I don't know if he's a, no, not the one with the kid, it's the adult. Let me see if I can find it. It's the one where there's like the small child who's the fox girl or wolf girl, whatever it was. There's the ghost who was living in the place of residence beforehand. The main character's an old man who was, I guess, into pharmaceuticals before he was isekai'd, and he basically sets off a slow life. I think the one you're thinking of, that's the one where like he solves essentially the black plague, right? That one was a different one. Yeah, this one, the ghost girl, is seen as a very kind character throughout the entire show, kind of like the token wife character. But during it, they decide, hey, let's make a drug where you can just read people's thoughts. So it abandons the drugstore premise and just goes into drugs can cause magic, and the characters of the show just kind of meh. And whenever they read the mind of the very kind ghost lady, all of a sudden she's seen as very conceit, and it's like every time they do something, she's like, "Are you really that stupid? Like, I can't believe you'd do that," and just really killed off the character. And it was like halfway through the season, I think, and because of that, it's just like you can't see the characters the same way, and it really botched it. And for that reason, I'm probably just gonna put it at average isekai. I mean, it's an isekai, it's an average isekai, not really nothing to write home about, not really bad enough to hate. Yeah, up next we have High School Prodigies Have It Easy in Another World. This one, it's another isekai where basically everyone is a super smart high schooler, except instead of them just being super smart, they all have like magical abilities even in the original world they're from, which really made it hard to suspend disbelief. And whenever that happens, it's kind of trashy. It's more on the trashier end of isekai, I would say. There were a few moments in time where it was like, oh, that's interesting, but more often than not, it's kind of like, once again, building a world. Isekai Yakyoku. Isekai Yakyoku. Yeah, I think this is the one where he solves the Black Plague. Where it's like, yeah, because it's a Crap, I can't remember the other one. But yeah, this is the one where, if I remember correctly, he sets up a shop in his own town, and like a bunch of boats come in, and the boats are probably carrying some disease, and it's not. I don't think it's heavily alluded to being the Black Plague, but it was basically some big disease. COVID Part 2, the Black Plague. It was pretty good, yeah. As far as isekais go, it was one of the easier watches, but in terms of shows overall, I'd probably say it was like pretty mid. Watch isekais with the brain off. I think that's probably the only way you can get through them. That's the appeal of isekai, is the fact that you can turn it on and not have to worry about anything interesting happening. Yeah. Up next we have... Crap, what's this one called? It's Jibanyo and Other Delusions. This one was one I really enjoyed at the time I watched it. But watching it again, I realized how cringy it was, and for that reason, I'm probably gonna have to put it at D tier. It was fun. There's a lot of interesting moments, especially like the fight between the two sisters was really well animated and very funny to watch, but at the same time, whenever you remember, oh yeah, the reason they're doing this is because they're like 8th graders that aren't in 8th grade, kind of cringe. Really? You mistook the Love Jibanyo and Other Delusions? Or are you talking the drugstore in Another World? Actually, I might have been getting the name wrong on that one. Up next we have Words Bubbling Up Like Soda Pop. The art direction on this one was really interesting. It was more pastel than anything else. Really? Which two? Because I don't know, it's like a main character with black hair, so I wouldn't doubt it if there's like 2 or 3 copies of her out there. But yeah. Alright. Computer decided to crash there. So that's fun. Let's see. Alright, how to get this all working again. Gotta love whenever your computer decides that it doesn't want to work like a computer, you know? Let's see, live overlay. Webcam capture. Why isn't it catching video? I guess we'll just have to go kind of videoless for the rest of this then. Because the video doesn't want to really get captured. But oh well. Alright. So because it crashed, we're probably gonna have to remake everything. Yeah. That's fine. Hopefully we've gone through enough to not really worry about it. Chihaya footage is too early. We're just gonna... Let's see. Alright. Luckily, I have that fancy save thing. Sort by date. Alright, so that's too early. We've done that one already. We haven't done that one yet. 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 We haven't, that's in B. We were, I think, in C. Oh dear, I think the organization system's all messed up. Oh well. Alright, we'll just have to upload all the files then, I guess. We'll start at right here and go down. I don't know, I guess whenever I do it on another stream, I'll have to, Oh, actually, that ended up pretty well. I think I managed to perfectly get the cider, the one we were just barely talking about, on accident. And we only have 458 more to go. Portrait images. Add robot, you're gonna be that color. Or, which one did I click on? Yeah. Okay. B is the... gonna be that one. C, B is orange. I'm gonna be honest, I think I remember most of them pretty well, so I'm not gonna add a can't remember tier. Because I haven't placed any on it yet. But alright, there we go. Now back to ranking animes. I can't see chat right now, crap. Let's see. I may have to bring the computer over. I wonder why all of a sudden technical issues. Yeah, let's see. Because chat box is on there. You can see on this, the kind of box right there is the chat box. Maybe if we settings, because it's on clean. Always, no, we don't always show messages on. Huh. That's kind of annoying. Maybe if we refresh chat. Alright, let's see. Chats. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that fixed that. I wonder if we can get the live overlay fixed then. By kind of doing the same thing. Let's see. Got double clicking that is still not going to do it. Yeah, webcam capture. If we switch to the Elgato virtual camera, then the MK2. Configure video. Doesn't seem to be doing much. Alright. Device default. It says it's recording video, but not really appearing up on the actual video. I guess we'll just still have to go without video. Tragic. Yeah, we got the chat working at least. Alright. Okay, so words bubbling up like soda pop. This one is a fairly interesting one in terms of show and everything. The pastel colors of it were pretty solid, but in terms of a lot of things, the story itself was a romance story that kind of felt somewhat forced, as they were characters that weren't fully almost developed, I want to say. Were very one-stringed a lot of times, where the main character is like, my main thing is I like poetry and I like poetry only, and then he goes on a quest to solve it, and the girl's kind of very much like, let's solve this quest for happiness and stuff. Overall, it wasn't bad, but I don't think I would rank it too highly. I'd probably only stick it at A, because it was never something that I got super invested in, but it wasn't like bad enough to only be above average. We have Scissor 7 now, which technically isn't an anime as it's a Chinese animation, but it's one of the few Chinese animations that are actually really good. I think this one and Link Click are the two best Chinese animations. Very, very solid ones, mostly because they actually maintain the plot that they set out from beginning. A big issue I have with a lot of ones made from China are that they have a plot, and then as it continues on, the plot kind of just dies out and is abandoned for something else. Welcome back. As it goes on, it kind of abandons plot, whereas Scissor 7 maintained the plot throughout the entire thing, and it was really easy to get invested in, especially as a comedy, and I'd say I'd probably rank it S tier. There were a few moments in time whenever, like, because the show somewhat had a serious tone throughout all of it, but it got more serious as the show went on, but it never fully abandoned the comedy to become serious, I think. There was a lot of moments in time when I think they did a very good job on storytelling, so for that it's an S tier. Next up we have Clannad, the original Clannad, as I don't have Clannad After Story on the list. I haven't seen it yet. I've heard it's tragic though, so I can't wait to watch it. You know, sad endings are my favorite endings. But the original Clannad, there were a lot of really slow moments during it, I think, and a lot of things that honestly were kind of so-so, I'd say. But it was fairly enjoyable to watch, I'd say. You know, there was not too many complaints. The Legend of Hay, I don't know if I've seen that one. Yeah, Clannad is I'd probably put that one at A. We're gonna look that up though. Legend of Hay. Oh, it was a... Okay, I don't think I've seen this one. I'll have to add it to the list, because it definitely looks like it could be an interesting one, but... The trailer... I don't know if I would get hit by copyright on that. We can definitely check it out though. We'll pause the music to watch it. Where is Streamlabs? Here is Streamlabs. We'll skip a few times. Oh, it's definitely nicely animated. It has almost like a storybook vibe to it. Yeah.
A kitten?
I'm not a cat, I'm a spirit!
Don't be afraid. You're one of us.
It's almost like... It looks like a mix of My Neighbor Totoro with, in terms of like art style, My Neighbor Totoro mixed with almost like a storybook animated type show, like almost indie animation.
It's Infinity. Their best enforcer. Get moving!
But...
Go!
We lost Hay. How could one human send us packing?
Storman! Bamboo! Sky Tiger!
It definitely seems like an interesting one. I don't want to play it all just so I don't like get copyright strikes, but yeah. Close to Avatar. I don't know, because Avatar I thought was a little bit more clean. Well, not clean, because that one was pretty clean. But Avatar had more of a... how to describe it? Avatar felt more, I guess, if we had to, I don't know, Avatar just had a different feeling to it in my mind. Crap, I cannot get this set up. Yeah, Facecam, I couldn't get Facecam back on working. Wait, Facecam is off. How does, space color range, buffering, auto detect, audio output mode. Yeah, I'm not sure how to get the face cam to work again. I'm gonna have to try and figure that out probably afterwards. But yeah, I'm having to just hide it so that box isn't there for no reason. Dang, this does not want me to fix it. We'll just minus U. Okay, it doesn't want to be minus. Alright, we'll exit out of the music for now. Okay, this doesn't like me right now, I guess. Really want Streamlabs there. Man. Oh, there we go. Wait, but that's not allowing. Okay. Here we go. We'll just... Oh, wait, no, that's still backwards. Crap. Man. Oh, finally. There we go. We got it. Alright, there we go. But yeah, Facecam's off just because if I turn it on, there's no video. So I'm gonna have to figure out why video isn't working, because I got chat to work again, but... Did I finish Doki Doki Literature Club? I haven't even started it. I'm torn between wanting to play it on stream or not. But yeah, I got this computer. I self-built it, like, I want to say 3 months ago. Well, probably 2 months ago. But before that, I never really played any video games. I think I consistently stuck to, like, maybe 4 video games I played, which was Halo, Hatsune Miku Mega Mix. There was Minecraft, and Galaga were kind of the 4 video games that I stuck to. And so I built a new computer because I was like, hey, why not do streaming? And I can play a bunch of video games that I've never played before. So on here, out of all these games, I've started Metal Gear Solid 5, I've played a little bit of Apex, a little bit of Lethal Company, and Genshin Impact, and those are the only games I've played. Oh yeah, Hatsune Miku, best game out there. It's I got a little bit obsessive over it though, if I'm being honest, because I got to the point where I learned that I could perfect songs, and so I've been going through and trying to perfect all of them. I've managed to only do about 200 of the songs on hard mode, and I've been kind of stuck on the last ones there. But yeah, it's been a fun game though. Yeah, I have it on the Switch, and I want to get it on Steam. I kind of want to play it on stream, but I don't know if that's like a super entertaining game to play on stream, just because it's a bunch of songs. I also don't know if I could like get copyright struck for it, but yeah, solid game. Up next, we have Cool Dansha, Cool Doji Danshi, which I think is something about cool guys. Yeah, play it cool guys. That one's very fun. I had one of the comments on the Crunchyroll comments section, which are no longer existing, was that it's basically a peek into the female gaze. But overall, it was a very fun watch. Comedy. Oh, that's fair. Yeah. I don't know. I'll look up in whether or not Hatsune Miku can be played on stream, and then if it can, I'll buy another version of it, because for the Switch I bought the Mega Mix, and then I realized that I accidentally bought the hard copy version in Japanese, and so I was like, you can't buy the DLCs unless you're in Japan for the Japanese version, so I had to get the English version as well. So I don't mind buying a third copy of the game. But yeah, this one, very solid one, very entertaining. I think the episodes are only like 12 minutes long, but in terms of quality, they really did it out with the quality. It's kind of a show where you start watching it and you feel like it can be tropey, but they always take it a new direction. And for that reason, I would say it's probably S tier as far as shows go, because it's pretty easy to get invested into it and binge it, especially since it's only like, I think, 2 hours to watch the entire thing. Yeah, up next we have this show, which I honestly can't tell what that is. It is Comic Girls. I remember this one. Yeah, this one was a basically a girl wants to become a comic artist, so she moves to an area into a building full of people who are also aspiring comic artists and of the sort. And it's a comedy. As far as comedy goes, it wasn't that great. It was kind of like a comedy version of the anime where they make manga. I can't remember what it's called. It's like Barakamon, or I can't remember the name of it, but it's almost more of a comedy version of that, which I don't think it did too well. Yeah, it's just a CGDCT, which, I mean, if it's your type of show, then it's a solid watch, but I've seen very few that I truly enjoyed. We have Cowboy Bebop, one of the few shows that I've watched that are actually from pre-2000s, because I only started watching anime back in 2021, so I've been mostly watching more recent ones, but I've seen a few that did come back way before 2000s, like this one and crap, what's it called? It's the one that's very similar to this one, Samurai Champloo. Yeah, as far as quality goes, I love the soundtrack. Soundtrack was amazing on it. The story was very good. They did a really good job of balancing the comedy as and drama throughout the show, and the ending was tragic, which is one of the best things that you can have. Oh, old anime more? Yeah, I when it comes to watching anime, I really like clean animation, and older animation tends to have a lot not as crisp edges, and for that reason it can sometimes be hard to get into them, but at the same time there's certain shows where they're just really well done, so you kind of can't help but fall in love with them, and Cowboy Bebop is one of those. So I'm going to put that one in S tier. There's not much bad I could say about it. I loved all the characters, and they had really interesting dynamics. uh I guess my biggest issue with it was that there were occasional parts where it was kind of slow, and the occasional villain was just very awkward to me. Up next, we have Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and this is probably a very unpopular opinion I have, but I think it was A tier. I don't think it like really belongs in any of the upper ones, because like it was really well animated. They had a lot of really interesting moments. The story was really well done, but I don't know. There's just like the entire mood of it feels like you're a drug addict coming down from a high. Like I think that's the best way to describe the feeling of the show. And I didn't particularly love that feeling. Some other people may have, but it was definitely not as high a tier for me. Oh, I should start the music again, shouldn't I? That would be a good idea. The Cyberpunk Edgerunners you did? I mean, yeah, it is. It's a fairly bingeable one, but all right, music has started back up again. Yeah, I just wouldn't rank it very high because it has that kind of feeling to it. Up next is Defrag. Defrag was an interesting one. It's a comedy one, purely comedy. There's a few moments when you're like, it does kind of try to dip into like a moment where it's a bit sadder, where it's kind of it takes these moments in time and has them just kind of have an underlying tone of, wait, this is really, it does have a tragic ending. I know, I say that a lot, where it's like, Cyberpunk, it's a really good one. It is, in terms of tragic endings. But, man, they really did Rebecca dirty. Like, come on, that was a terrible death to have. That was cruel more than anything else. For that reason, I don't know if it could be S. And like I said, it kind of gives you that, like, drug addict feeling. I there are a few parts of it that it kind of really brought it down, but they did a really good job with like with the first few character deaths. It's mostly Rebecca's that I'm like, man, screw you guys. But yeah, defrag, comedy, few moments in time when it like peeks into, hey, this is kind of messed up, like this character's past is kind of messed up, but yeah, it is definitely too colorful. Defrag is, but yeah, it's not a bad comedy, slightly above average. Yeah, you can even see just how vibrant the colors are in the picture itself. I also, one of my least favorite types of character designs is whenever they like really emphasize the arms and hands. Like a best way to describe it is Mickey Mouse having a Mickey Mouse image where his hands are just really big, or like a lot of artists will do, like making the shoes and the feet really large. I really hate when they do that. And the entire time skip, the main character just has really big arms and big hands and is like very buff and punch things, and it was also a very big character change, very drastic in change, which was kind of bizarre to watch. Yeah. Okay, D4DJ. This is the popular meme the opening has. I think the one where they're like the people who are just kind of doing peace signs and like throwing peace signs at each other and getting really in the camera's face. FF tier. Terrible show. It's all 3D animated, which isn't normally bad, but the way they animated it almost made them like look really elastic. There was a lot of fan service in there that just felt really out of place for this type of anime. The entire premise of it is these girls want to become DJs, but it's more of a idol anime than anything else, with really bad music. I think there's only one song from the entire show that I actually liked, and it wasn't even a song from the show itself. It was a song from the ending of the second season, which it shouldn't have gotten. But it was terrible show, not worth watching. It was painful. I watched it at work, and now every time I work, I am reminded of it, and so I quit my job. Next up, we have, crap, I don't remember, it's like, it's just Dagashi Kashi. This one is all about the different types of snacks that they have in Japan, which is a really interesting to watch if you're interested in Japanese culture, because it has like just a whole list of every single snack they have, as well as the kind of gimmick of each snack, which being in America, there's not as much, I would say, uniqueness in snacks and everything. More often than not, I think the most fun we get is the, what's it called? The fun dip, where you have a stick, you lick the stick and dip it in sugar, and then bada bing bada boom, that's the entire gimmick. For ecchi, you would put it in SS? Are you talking Dagashi Kashi, or are you talking D4DJ? Because Dagashi Kashi is probably A tier terms, but D4DJ, it's not even like the good ecchi. It's like the type where all you really see is them in the bath. You'd put that in SS. It's really good. I do like the show. The ecchi was so-so in this one. I did not like the, I think it was the ending or opening to season, was it season 1? Because of mostly the clothes design in that. It's the one where it's like Alice in Wonderland themed. I wasn't a huge fan of that one, but the show itself was really entertaining. The reason I don't put it in SS though is because the purple-haired, pink-haired girl leaves halfway through the show, and she was one of the main appeals of the show, I thought. And so her leaving was just kind of a out of nowhere thing that happened and really changed the mood of the show, which I didn't love how it changed. But after this we have Danchigai. I think this is the one where they're all siblings. Yeah, this is a, she does come back, yeah, but when she comes back, it's like, it just took a long time for that to happen, and I didn't really love the fact that she was gone. She was gone for like, what, 6 episodes or so? It took a long time for her to come back. Yeah, this one is a dude who lives with 4 sisters and all the shenanigans that happen there. You can pretty much guess where it was going, where the story goes with, you know, one guy and 4 girls living in the same house, but it is mediocre, I would say. Slightly above average, not terrible. But yeah. Up next we have another short one, the I Can't Understand What My Husband Is Saying. This one, it was one that I watched. Wincest? Okay. I don't see how that's Wincest. Like I don't think I've ever seen, because I have siblings, and when you think about like, man, would I do that? It's always, no, I would not. There's no way I would ever do that. That's concerning. It's kind of like my friend, he has a bunch of step siblings, and so whenever he can't do like step sibling anything because he's like, I have them, I know what it's like, it's too weird to watch that. But yeah, that's for that reason I don't know if I can put it higher, because there are a few funny moments in it, but I couldn't really do much higher than that. I can't understand what my husband is saying. Basically, the husband is an otaku and the wife is not an otaku, so she can understand it. Yeah, I'd say it's Random Boys and Girls, but yeah, right. It's just kind of, when you have siblings, it becomes more awkward than anything else to like see things like that. Because I think more often than not, it's like the idea of fantasizing about it, it allows you to have more freedoms, and you can kind of avoid the like things that feel weird. But then as soon as you actually exist in that realm, you realize, oh wait, no, like the logistics of this are really cringe actually. Man, I can't understand what my husband is saying. Otaku husband, non-otaku wife, she has no idea what he's saying. It's a short, you can binge in a while. As far as shorts go, it's kind of average for shorts, so for that reason we'll put it at B. But I have a friend who really hates the show, would probably rank it lower than me, but it was a fun one to watch for a bit. Alright, The Daily Lives of High School Boys. This one is really bizarre. I think it's one of those ones where once you watch it and you look back on it, you think the jokes are funnier than they are, but the jokes are still pretty funny. I'd say it's pretty A tier, you know? You never really get too invested in the story, but while watching it, it's very entertaining and kind of reminds you of your days back in high school, you know, your daily life, because why not? Yeah, up next we have Darling in the Franxx, which I've heard is kind of a ripoff of Evangelion. Oh yeah, Nichijou is a classic though. Like there's no way it stands a chance. Nichijou's all like SSS tier. But yeah, Darling in the Franxx, very good first half, terrible second half. It really dropped the show to below average, honestly, because they took that second half and were like, what if instead of having just a mecha, we had Magic Girl Space Mecha? And it drops off. Darwin's Game. This one is basically, they have an app on the phone which allows them to participate in a game where they kill each other and do other things to earn points and stuff. Basic kind of death game-esque anime. I'd say it's fairly below average. Well, just slightly below average. The animation's done really well, but the story's kind of very normal. You can kind of predict where it's going to happen and what where. Up next we have this Dead Mount Death Play. Future Diary? Yeah, it was. I don't know, I feel like Future Diary did it a lot worse though, personally. Future Diary's like F. Actually no, it's FF tier. It's not even on the list because I couldn't finish it. But yeah, I dropped it around the time that the child was insanely intelligent and then was killed. And I was like, that was rough. Like, no child is that smart, and they're really trying to be edgy with killing children on the show. Yeah, Dead Mount Death Play. It's a reverse isekai. Peak. Aw, man, that's... I've met one person before who thought it was Peak, and that... They're an interesting person, but I could never really get into it that much. Was it the pink-haired girl? Because I have a friend that watched it purely for that reason, and that's to him the silver lining of the show. Dead Mount Death Play, reverse isekai. It was lots of interesting ideas. I don't know if it's like that amazing. Of course it was. Yeah, okay. Makes sense. That seems to be where most people love it. Yeah, Dead Mount Death Play, probably slightly above average. It's an isekai. Actually, Nah, I'd put it slightly below average. Storytelling wise, it's not as smooth as it could have been. It definitely could have been better. But yeah, we have up next, Date Alive. This one is another harem. It honestly feels like very similar to The World Only God Knows, except The World Only God Knows did a lot better. I'm gonna put it in D tier. The only good character in this is the girl, but SSS. What? SSS is reserved for shows that are like the top of the top, the cream of the crop, the best of the best. Date Alive, like if you... Totally not a huge fan of it. I can't tell if that's sarcastic or not, but Date Alive, I don't know, it's... If you like Date Alive, you should watch The World Only God Knows, because The World Only God Knows is a show, if you haven't seen it yet, it's a show where the main character is a guy who's obsessed with dating sims, and then, once again, to kind of save everybody, he has to court a bunch of people because they have demons inside of them. Kurumi is there? Kurumi is she's the character that's red and black? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she's the reason why I finished it, so I don't blame you for that. She's by far the best character in the entire show. Yeah, I don't know if I can put it. Like, the reason it's not lower than D is because of her, but I love the interesting idea of, like, how many future and past selves there are there, and how many of them need to... Rose Mercury from Gates. Oh, the like 700 and something year old demon girl. Yeah, Gate was a fun one. Just everybody being absolutely murdered by a bunch of guns. Very entertaining. But I don't blame you for that. I can understand why those would be so high for those characters, but in terms of story and everything, Date Alive is pretty low. And like I said, the World Only God Knows was Date Alive, but done better. Up next, Dead Man Wonderland. This one was a good one for the beginning part, I'd say. It was interesting, but also mostly gory to be gory, I'd say. I couldn't really get into it. I'd honestly say it's slightly above average, just because later on it really seems to drop off, and it was kind of hard to get into the beginning as well, with just how much it emphasized, like, man, these kids are high schoolers, isn't this messed up? But yeah, there's for that reason I'd probably put it in B. There were some interesting ideas with the power aspects. You thought Date Alive was better than The World Only God Knows? I guess I could slightly, ever so slightly understand why. Yeah, it seems like we can agree with each other then that we can understand it but disagree. You know, agree to disagree. Yeah, up next is this is Death Play Rhapsody? Where is it? Or is it Death March into Another World? Death March into Another World, that's what it was called. Another isekai. Unlike most isekais though, the guy actually has class, you know? It makes sense that he has a harem because he's like a no business dude. He, honestly, I'd find him hot if I were in that show. But, basically, he's exists as a game developer and then gets TP'd into the game he's developing with a few interesting powers that makes him a bit overpowered. But he's got game. But it is still an isekai, and I wouldn't rank it above most other isekais, so C tier. Death Note. Classic among anime, I'd say. You know, there's a lot of points in time in the show where you're like, wow, this is very memeable. And the artistic direction done while he was writing the names of all the people in the prism where it's going back and forth, the fact that they over-dramatize everything, including like a simple tennis game, holy crap. There's just so many iconic moments in the show that you can't help but not put it in S, despite the fact that the story wasn't that great. You know, it definitely helps that there's nostalgia added to it, since it was, I think, the third anime I ever watched. They had Death Parade. This is a fantastic one. Opening is fantastic. Story is fantastic. The idea around it is fantastic. The kind of watching the show, watching people, whether or not they're good or bad, trying to make the predictions of where people are going to end up is super interesting. Overall, a fantastic show. I would say double S. I don't think I'd get too many complaints about putting that one there either. There's a few moments here and there where it's either a bit confusing or a bit of a stretch as far as what happened, but a solid show other than those few moments. Oh boy, this one. Battle start in 5 minutes, I think it is. Battle game in 5 seconds, I think. Yeah, Death Parade's solid. Definitely SS. Okay, battle game in 5 seconds. If you want to watch a, I think it's a death game without the death. Mostly, well, no, I'd say there's probably death in there, but it's almost like, how to describe it? It's just so bad. The animation on some parts are so poorly done. The main character is almost like a character who was decided, we're gonna make this guy like Omega Intelligence. We're making him Sherlock squared. But the author clearly had no idea how to make Sherlock squared. So a lot of the times it's just like somebody does something, he's like, aha, I knew you were gonna do that all along, so I did this thing to counteract it way before you ever like had the idea to do it. So honestly, it was painful to watch. Not to mention, there was one character who in both the dub and sub just had awful voice acting, like incredibly high-pitched, incredibly annoying, really hard to get through. Very, very painful show. And then this is I remember this one well, don't remember the name. The Family Circumstances of the Irregular Witch. Oh boy, this is a child is obsessed with their mother, thinks their mother's the best in the world, so feels the need to protect the mother. The mother is super powerful, and can protect herself, but is like trying to raise the witch as from child up, and so she sees the witch as a daughter. The daughter's like only the best for my mom. Comedy in it is very much hat on hat most of the time, where it's like wacky thing happens. What better way to resolve the wacky thing than another wacky thing? So a lot of the comedy just really flops in the show. Yeah, it's that one. I'm gonna have to put it in F tier. I'm surprised BA. I don't know, man. That was really hard to get through. A lot of the comedy has just been done so much before. And then there's also the fact that most of the characters are really one-stringed and kind of annoying. Yeah, that was I'd probably stick it in F. It kind of dragged for a lot of the show. Alright. The Masterful Cat is depressed again. Oh. You suck at rating stuff. I mean, I think the only way to suck at rating stuff is to not know how to put it onto the list. Other than that, it's all just personal taste. Your worst... Oh, they're 5 to 6. I can kind of get that to a degree. I very rarely, like, when on MAL, do shows below a 4. Because, like, 4 is if it's really bad. Yeah, 4 and down is, like, reserved for trash. Like, when doing on this, it's kind of like... I have to kind of organize it a bit more, because I can't throw everything up on these tiers. Otherwise, it gets way too crowded, so I'm having to be very critical of some of the shows. But yeah, Masterful Cat is depressed again today. This, slice of life was kind of a drag, but the outfit design on the characters were really well done. Specifically her pajamas. Her pajamas were like the highlight of the week for me while this was coming out. Very weird thing to like absolutely love about a show, but it's honestly, outfit design is the only reason that I could get through the first 2 seasons of Rent a Girlfriend, was because it has such interesting outfit design. As far as the actual show goes, it's definitely C tier, I'd say. You know, like it definitely was quite a drag. There were quite a few parts of it where it kind of dipped down, but you know, I think C tier is fair just for the outfits. We have Monster Girl Doctor, I think this one is called. No, Interviews with Monster Girls. Monster Girl Doctor is the ecchi one. Yeah, watching anime for the pajamas. Definitely what it's there for. This is a perfect application of the, I see, a man of culture. But yeah, Interview with Monster Girls is essentially Monster Girl Doctor, but wholesome. Not ecchi, thankfully, because they're all, I think, middle schoolers, and that would be a FBI watch list show if it had a bunch of ecchi. There were some hints of romance at it, but most of all, I'd say it was probably slightly above average. not too much to write home about. Good moments, bad moments. Most shows have those, but like the good moments outweighed the bad, just barely. All right, Dorohedoro. There's a succubus though in Monster Girl Doctor. Oh, that's the teacher, isn't it? Right? I don't remember that. I mostly remember the Holohan person, and there's the ice person, and so on and so forth. Yeah, if there was, it was definitely more wholesome than Monster Girl Doctor, though. I think Monster Girl Doctor is like Monster Musume Part 2, but without as much of a good story. Yeah, I'm starting to remember that now. Those were interesting moments whenever she was on the show. I don't know, I'd still say it's probably B tier, just because of the interactions that a lot of them had was really interesting, and how like they had a very good ideas with a lot of how these monstrous attributes actually affect them in the real world. Like the Deholahan, whenever he's carrying her head, she's like, whoa, like you're bumping around too much, man. You're walking in a lot of bumps. And it's like the idea that they would have to kind of balance the head out so that she doesn't get too dizzy was really interesting. All right, Dorohedoro. This one, very bizarre animation, very bizarre storytelling. What the crap? Oh, okay. Bizarre animation, bizarre storytelling, very interesting. It's one of those shows where in order to introduce you into the world, it immediately like says, hey, you're in this world now. Like, just get used to it. But unlike most shows that do it, it did a really good job of kind of throwing you in there. I think the reason why is because he's lost all his memories, and so you kind of learn with him to a degree. But yeah, as far as the show goes, the animation was whack. It was kind of hard to get through, but storytelling was really well done, so we're going to throw that up in A tier. We now have... What the crap is this show? Oh, is this Eromanga Sensei? No, not Eromanga Sensei. It's the, I can't find it on here. But it's the one where they... Ah, here we go. Thinky Guy. This one's a really fun one. It's a bunch of people that work at a bookshop, kind of doing bookshop things. You know, like a bookseller. If you've ever seen Skeleton Bookshop Worker or Skeleton Bookseller, I can't remember what it was, but it's kind of similar to that, where there's like a bunch of people that work at the shop. There's mangakas that work there, and they're just trying to like become popular and everything. A lot of the characters are one-stringed for comedy, but it's really done. And if you've ever heard of Schrodinger's Pantsu, this is where it's come from. Fantastic show. Oh, why did I put that in D? It's a good show, very good on comedy aspects, a lot of really interesting ideas that they had. We'll put that one in A tier as well. Next is Do It Yourself. Oh, sorry, Do It Yourself. This is a... Yeah, Skeleton one was pretty good. That was an interesting watch, especially since he was like... It was basically like storytelling about his time in the industry. But yeah, Do It Yourself is a fairly fun one. There's a... It's another CGDCT, but not too bad. Yeah, it has a lot of funny moments. The animation style too of it was very unique and interesting. It was more like watercolor, and it was very simply drawn, which almost added to the specific genre it was in. In terms of the show though, there were a few points in time when it was somewhat of a drag, like the main character, I think her name is Serufu, and her entire joke is every time somebody doesn't know what DIY means, she always says, do it your Serufu, because that's my name. And a few of the comedy moments were a bit overplayed. But yeah, I'd say probably B tier. It was above average. I don't think I'd stick it in A, because it wasn't something that I'd like be able to sit down and watch in one sitting or anything like that. Yeah, we have My Roommate is a Cat. My Roommate is a Cat is another fairly good one. Believe it or not, roommate is a cat, and you get the perspective of the person and the cat. As far as what the cat is thinking, I don't know if it's accurate to what an actual cat would think, but I imagine it's what the author imagined a cat would think like. So, there's a few points in time when the show kind of abandons the, well, actually, I don't remember if it's a comedy. I don't think it was a comedy. I think they were like funny aspects of the show, but throughout the show they just kind of treat it more as a hey, this is the life of a single man and a cat, which it wasn't bad. Once again, I don't know if I could binge it in one sitting. There were good moments of it, but not below average, probably just above average. Yeah, up next we have Dr. Stone. You'd put it in A? I mean, I guess that's fair, yeah. There were definitely some interesting moments that happened in the story that I really liked, but I don't know, there was this just kind of the lulls were pretty lolly, I guess. Yeah, the relationship was really wholesome. I don't know though, the idea of this is kind of the same reason why I don't really like whenever animals are very heavily anthropomorphized. Like and because it kind of gives like personality where I don't know if a cat would actually like think that way. So whenever they have the whole cat talking and being like, oh, they left this food out or something, and so on and so forth. But it was definitely wholesome. It was an enjoyable watch. But I don't know if I would say like I could binge it. Up next is Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone is a fairly good one, I'd say, in terms of like shonen, mostly because they teach you how to make a bomb, and that's really funny to me. You know, like you definitely wouldn't see a lot of shows. I think there's actually a book where it was like a pro-anarchy book and how to be an anarchist, how to de-revolutionize, that's actually banned in a lot of countries because they basically teach you how to make like bombs and guns and how to like best topple a government, which it's really funny to me that like a book like that would be banned. But then you have Dr. Stone over here, which doesn't teach you. Yeah, it's very unique. Not a the storytelling style is not something that I think a lot of people are really into though. Like it took me a long time to get into it. I'd say it's probably A. I never was, like I said, it took a long time to get into it, and it takes a while to get used to it. But once you do, it's fairly good. How heavy are the dumbbells you lift? This one is a interesting show. I think it's memed quite often. But it's the muscle song. The ending is all about growing muscles and repeats muscle and muscle over and over again, and it's a very fun one. Oh, it's fantastic comedy. I don't know if I would put it in S tier though. Is it no, I'd put it in S tier. Yeah, there's a lot of funny moments of the show. The dude being the pro arm wrestler he is, the fact that his shirt explodes every single time he flexes is amazing touch. Up next, Dungeon Meshi, I think. Yeah, Delicious in Dungeon. This was a pretty interesting story. It had a very soft animation style to it. It very much told the story it was trying to tell. I don't think no, I did finish it, yeah. It kind of ended in a weird note. But yeah, they definitely left it open for more to be done. It's very interesting exploring the dungeon as they kind of unearth the history of what actually happened. And the fact that, like, him going into the pictures actually affected the past was super interesting. But yeah, I'd say this solid SS tier show, very easy to get into, I think. And as far as food shows go, where there's like a lot of food going on, top tier. Alright, this one, I think this is like wanting to remaster the sword to become powerful and crap. That was a SS tier description of it. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, here we are. It's reborn to master the blade, from hero to extraordinary squire. It's another isekai. Gets isekai'd into not into another world, but just gets reincarnated into the world they're in. They were once upon a time a super amazing swordsman, so when they get reborn, they're like, man, I'm just gonna kinda chillax. Oh, you're ready to yap. Is it up next soon? Oh yeah, it is. Oh dang. Yeah, that's like in 3 away. I'm curious to see your opinion on it, whether or not you love it or not. But yeah, this one, isekai, in terms of isekai, I think it's a bit on the lower end, so we're gonna put that in D tier. Up next, Fire Force. I couldn't get into it. It was a drag to watch. To me it's below average. A lot of the comedy of it just felt very out of place at times, and it seemed to be very being loud is funny-esque comedy, which isn't really comedy in my mind. They definitely did have good animations. A lot of people liked the opening. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but the animation done in it was amazing. So on and so forth, but I don't know if I'd really say that I liked it. It was slightly below average. After that, we have... Man, what are you? Is this the Onosuba? I think it is, but I can't tell. No, it's a Totama. Yeah, F tier. The entire show is all about like gods going to Earth and being all like super powerful, and they try to make it really funny, but it doesn't work. It was a drag. Yeah, I've even ranked it as a 4 on this one, which is very rare on MAL for me to do. All right, it's time. Is it wrong to pick up girls in dungeons? This one? All right, I think best place to put it is probably S tier. It is very well done. There's a lot of moments that get you really into it, but at a certain point in time, I got kind of annoyed about the whole harem aspect. SS? I can see why you would put it in SS, yeah. The storytelling aspect of it, really well done. Really interesting, like how they took, I think it's Roman mythology, and kind of integrated it. But my biggest issue was with the whole arc with the like black skeleton dog. That entire thing was just way overpowered and everybody was killing it. There was also him like climbing through the dungeon. I think I did. I don't know which season came out last. In the anime, I finished season 4, which I'm not sure how many seasons there are currently. Crap, what's it called? Four seasons? Alright, yeah, so I finished it. Yeah, there were just a few parts where they kind of took a really long time to get through, like whenever they fall down all those floors and they're trying to climb out. I felt that was done a little bit too long, but... Oh, yeah. No spoilers is always a good thing. Anything on here, I've either finished or I am caught up to the point where I don't want to watch anymore. But yeah, is it wrong to pick up girls in dungeons when they're climbing throughout the floors? It kind of dragged on. I can see why they would want that, because they're trying to put you in as much despair as possible, but a lot of times it just kind of felt like it really dragged. But the last 2 seasons, I forget, if I remember correctly, in the last 2 seasons, there's is that when the elf girl like gets abandoned and the black skeleton dog thing comes out? I forget what happens in the last 2. I guess we can click it. So season 4 part 2. Wonderful description. All right, yeah. Yeah, that one definitely had really good moments in it. I'm gonna be honest though, with as overpowered as it was, I was kind of annoyed that nobody in his party actually died from it. It was mostly just the side characters, and it was like, I don't know, it felt kind of rough to see this insanely powerful monster come and then have everyone have plot armor. But there were some messed up moments in that one, and that was definitely fun to watch. Alright, Engage Kiss. This one is dude kisses girl, girl becomes stronger and fights for dude. Very strange show. He loses his memories. Honestly, I'd say it's slightly below average. Nothing to really write home about, but you know, there was good parts to it, I guess. Some comedic parts, but a lot of the plot twists they had were kind of like either so out of left field that they felt out of place or very predictable. One or the other. Alright, we have crap, what's it called? Don't mess with Azoken? Terrible at pronouncing things, but this one, a lot of people absolutely love it. Personally, I think it's slightly above average. The description of Engage Kiss, or Yeah, engage kiss. Dude kisses girl, girl gets powers, girl fights for dude. I feel like that's been done in anime before. Yeah, there were some interesting parts to it, but not enough for it to become above average. Yeah, keep your cans off. Eizouken is an entertaining one to watch in terms of like, wow, these people are making animation, but the whole idea where he would kind of draw the world around him was very unique. But Roserato to Vampire, yeah, that definitely sounds like that would be something. I know there's a lot of shows where it's like, hey, if you do this somewhat raunchy thing, then you become powerful. Like the hidden dungeon only I can enter is one of those where he basically gains the power to, anytime he's a lucky licher, he becomes more powerful, gets more magic points or whatever. And that was a bizarre show to watch. But yeah, here we go. Now we have Eromanga Sensei. You know, this is another Wincest anime. I'd probably rank this at a C tier, I'd say. It's not too great. Yeah, a lot of parts of it were, once again, really awkward. You loved Hidden Dungeon Only I Can Enter. Honestly, I'd probably put it at F or FF. There were a lot of parts about it that were just kind of like way overdone. I feel like that's the problem with a lot of ecchi anime, is that like they always go for the low-hanging fruit and never really try to go from beyond that. Eromanga Sensei, if you like ecchi, it's a good one. The entire plot of it is the main guy is an author, and the girl basically draws the ecchi art that his books have. And it's about the relationship, yeah. I personally didn't love it that much, but I mean, heck, if you loved Hidden Dungeon Only I Can Enter, then you'd probably like this one as well. Free Hot Men the Anime. In terms of sports anime, it was fairly well done. I'm not a huge fan of sports anime, but the biggest complaint I have about it is how buff the guys are. It's very hard to live up to that. Yeah, same fantasy stuff, romance advances, yeah. That makes sense. I don't think romance advances very much in this one, just because any implications of romance would be somewhat concerning, but it's an interesting one. But yeah, free, mostly B tier because it's above average, but the guys are too buff and I'm jealous of them, so you know, typical stuff. Alright, this one, I don't remember what it's called. Flying Witch, yes. This one is probably actually one of my favorites. Yeah, I don't know if they've added more seasons since I stopped watching it, but it was an interesting one to watch. AS, yeah. I'm just saying, it'd probably be A for me if the dudes weren't like as strong as they were and as hot as they tried to make them. But yeah, Flying Witch is the best way to describe it is it's another Iyashike, you know, so slice of life that not much happens at all, very peaceful, very fun to watch. To me, it's an SSS. I could binge that easily, and I could probably rewatch it again right after watching it. I have the manga. I've been reading the manga. The manga is just as good as the show. Probably a strange show to throw on SSS, but that's like my favorite type of show. It's this one kind of reminds me of like Wondering Witch of Elaine and Kino's Journey, if you've seen those. Alright, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I'm probably gonna get trashed on this one, but it's C, it's below average. Like, I think it's way overhyped, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of trash for that one, but I couldn't get into it. It's because I watched the original one, and the original one, General Hughes, was just done so much better, especially with his like, death scenes are so important in my mind. They're the best thing that you can have in a show, and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood botched it. They botched the correct amount of tragedy for his death, and it was, I couldn't get over that. I honestly think that the other one was better. But yeah, that's my unpopular opinion for the day. Okay, that's fair. I can't judge you for putting Data Live. Yeah. I mean, Makes sense. Yeah, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, is very unpopular opinion to have, especially since it's ranked number 2 on MAL. But yeah, I wonder how many people I'm gonna piss off with that one. Let's see. Up next we have. I don't remember the name to this one. I think it's this one. Yeah. The Morris Mohican. Basically, apparitions exist. They go to solve apparitions. Dude is human and has to do it. Look, Full Metal Alchemist. It's not a bad show. It's just below average. You know, it's a shonen. There's a few good moments in it, but like, it really got outshone by the original in terms of General Hughes alone. Like that's truly the only reason I love it. The other one more is just because they did General Hughes so much more justice in that death scene. That might be true. It's been a while since I've watched it, so I may not remember that, but crap. I might have to rewatch them then, just to try and get completely accurate my opinions on them. But yeah, this show, it's slightly above average, kind of typical people being people trying to solve mysteries. Not too great. But yeah, Full Metal Alchemist, I'll definitely give it a rewatch at some point in time. The openings are really good to it. Alright, up next is Fruits Basket. Fruits Basket is a, you only remember 2 scenes? Yes, I actually have some fantastic memes about that. You have I'm actually going to text them email them to myself so I can show you them, because, you know, memes are fantastic. Fire Guy taking revenge. Is that Scar, dude? I forget the name of the character. I think that he's the character, though, that had the meme made out of him, where it's like, your name is something, 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 or other. He's like, that's crazy. My name is also something, 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 or other. Alright. Alright, I've emailed them to myself. Yeah. I love the shirt from Full Metal Alchemist, though, where it has the girl and the dog doing the Super Saiyan combination thing. Very entertaining. Alright. You're talking about the someone killing greed or lust for killing glasses guy. Oh, yeah, that's fair. That was a really good moment. Okay, we'll bump it up to B. We'll give the show the benefit of the doubt. You've brought up some good points. Yeah, we got the first meme is this one. She and her dog are best friends. They're practically inseparable. It's a wonderfully cursed meme. And the second one is the live action anime. You know, both wonderful, wonderful things to show your friends who are fantastic, who absolutely love the show and believe it's the SSS of shows. Alright, next up we have Fruits Basket. Fruits Basket was a good one. I definitely enjoyed it. But in terms of show, it's one of the few... yeah, it's a... I have a bunch of cursed memes on my phone. Maybe I should do a meme review on my... all the shows, all the memes I have on my phone. But yeah, this is I'd say probably an S tier. It's one of the few shows that I showed my family and they all really loved it. The comedy aspect was really good for them. It's a pretty good all around. A lot of the romance in it. It is definitely slow to advance, but yeah. Well, yeah, I'm gonna... That wasn't that crazy. I mean, I have worse. I definitely have worse. But I love showing those to people whenever they're like, man, I love this show, because I show it to them and it just completely appalls them. You know, it's a top tier meme type thing. Yeah, up next is crap, what's this one called? I know it's tragic. To Your Eternity. Episode 1 of this was really good, and I think they continued with it. I'm only gonna put it in S though, because throughout the show it kind of feels like it loops a lot. You can kind of tell that like who's gonna die, who's not gonna die, and you know that everything's just leading up to that one sad moment whenever that character dies. And after a while it gets somewhat repetitive, but this is just all based off my opinions on season 1 though. I haven't seen season 2 yet, just because it's a type of show where you really have to be in the right mood to watch it. But yeah, definitely S tier right now. Okay, this one's actually one of my favorites, and this is probably a bizarre one to have as your favorites, but this is The Great Passage, which is probably wanted to watch because you thought it was depressing. Yeah, To Your Eternity is definitely on the sad end. If you do ever watch it, then just know that you're gonna have a bad time if you really get attached to characters. Yeah, the Hydra fight in Mushoku Tensei was tragic. Like, they fought it. Most of the show I gave them plot armor throughout. I think the only time when they had killed off a character and I was like, whoa, that's like, I wasn't expecting that, was whenever they were on the Demon Island and the main character was like, no, hold up, don't save the party quite yet. We have to save them right at the right time, and then that one kid dies, and that was like a really big moment. But other than that, I think most of the time they like, it seems like they have plot armor without seeming like they have plot armor, and then they pull that move and it was really well done. Yeah, they did show a lot of death flags, but yeah, that was a rough time, but it was a good moment. I do think I loved all of that happened, like Rudius becoming really depressed, and then like whenever he tells the sister all about it, that was a really done moment in time, I think. Yeah, The Great Passage. The Great Passage is a fantastic one. I'm going to pitch this to you like it is the best one ever. Will you like it? Probably not, but it's fantastic. So, what is something so mundane that you never think about it? Like, you might think about it if it's ever relevant, but the points in time when it's relevant is almost never, because you never really do it. It's the type of book where it's so good for one thing only, and that thing is looking up information. I'm talking about dictionaries. Dictionaries are weird. Like, why have a book that's just a compilation of all of the words used? But one thing you'll never think about is how dictionaries are written, right? This anime is all about that. It's about the process of writing a dictionary. You follow this one dude as he joins a company to write a dictionary. It's a really chill show. Really, it's an Iyashike, so not a whole lot happens in it, but it's really slow in like the perfect way. The perfect type of slow where it's like late night, you just want to relax, throw this show on. It's great. It's SSS tier. There's writing a dictionary sounds incredibly boring, and it probably is incredibly boring, and they don't try to make it not boring, but it's great for that. And that's probably my trashiest take, I would say. It's a great show though, The Great Passages. Here we have the Skeleton Bookworker. Fantastic show. I'd probably say S tier. It definitely has its key moments. It's best points in time, you know. A lot of the comedy, it's really interesting to see the working life of somebody in it, especially when he's like a mangaka. And it's just a very interesting perspective to see, you know, in a new world. Or not a new world, but the same world that's in. Yeah, up next we have Gabriel Dropout, I think, right? Yeah, Gabriel Dropout. From 6 out of 10 to S? Is that a... Oh, yeah, so the ranking on this, I typically rank them right after I watch the show, which really eschews my ranking. It's like if a show ends in a way that I don't like, then I'll typically rank it a lot lower than what I actually think it is. And especially since like my taste changed, I don't remember when I ranked it, but it was it was at a time when I was kind of like, man, I just really want to see some people punch each other in the face, and it wasn't the show to watch at that time. So the ranking I have on MAL is very inaccurate, whereas like after a few months I can give a more honest reaction to it. So yeah, I definitely say an S tier compared to my 6 out of 10. Like we have, it's a good show. But yeah, Gabriel Dropout is a D tier show, below average, not painful to watch, but basically an angel comes down to earth and just kind of gets corrupted by day-to-day life. Not really that great. She just gets really into video games and becomes a NEET. Comedy moments weren't that comedy, weren't too funny in my mind. But yeah, I'm probably gonna do 3 more and then call it a day, since I do have to go here soon. But up next is More Than a Married Couple But Not Lovers, if I remember correctly. This is one of the acute romance one where nothing really happens. Yeah, there was a Hatsune Miku appearance. I actually watched it before I knew what Hatsune Miku was, but then afterwards I was told that and I was like, oh dang, that's cool. It doesn't make the show good though. It's not that good. It's like, it's at a calm, if I remember correctly, like some sort of thing, but it's very much in passing, and so you don't notice the reference unless you know to look for it. Yeah, this one is, as far as romance goes, it's probably on the lower end of romance in my opinion. It's kind of a typical love triangle show where the characters hello, welcome to the chat. Yeah, Gabriel Dropout going, are you talking like from the entire list or just this one? Because I don't know if I can do the entire list. We might never end. Yeah, Gabriel Dropout is not Gabriel Dropout, More Than a Married Couple But Not Lovers. It very much is typical. Oh gosh, the entire thing. Oh boy. Yeah, we have well, even my computer crashed halfway through, so what you see here isn't even all we've done. I think we've done maybe like 50 to 70 shows. I can't do that again. Well, actually, I probably will make a YouTube series based off of this, where I just quickly go through like rankings and everything, but it's more refined, not a VOD, but more done YouTube style, so I'll just redo it all. So if you want, you could watch it then, haha, plug into YouTube. But I don't know if I can do the other entire thing again during a stream. But yeah, alright, up next is Gakuben Babysitters, which I think is down here, yeah. This one was garbage. It's a show that basically pushes child rearing. Most of the time you're watching it, you're like, wow, that child is being very childlike, and children can be very annoying, and you're definitely bringing that aspect out. There's like 1 or 2 funny moments during the show, but more than anything, it's just kind of painful to watch, so we're going to put that in F tier. Alright, and for the last one of the day, we're going to be doing Gamers. My friend loves this show so much. I personally don't fully get his absolute love for it, but it's the episode where it starts out, where it goes with her past life, talking about Gaku, look, children being wholesome is like cool and all as long as it's interesting. I can't say. You'd put it in S? But they're just so annoying. Like the only time I've really like to truly enjoyed a show with children, and it's all about like hanging out with children, raising children, is the Umarachi Onisan, the one where he's a person who does a lot of like children show stuff, but he really hates his job and is really depressed, and so the children, being as blunt as they are, kind of point out to him how depressed he is, and that was hilarious. That was a great show. Yeah, Gamers, personally, it was okay. I'd probably put it in B, slightly above average. I wouldn't really throw it much above that though. But yeah, so that's the current list plus what we did previously. We still have a plethora of shows to go through, but up until then, we will do that later. I will probably be streaming next on Thursday at 12 p.m. is when I'll start. So if you want to tune in then feel free to, but up until then, I will see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day.